Lack to luxury transformation, Neville Goddard. What if the secret to wealth was never in the economy, your job, or even your bank account, but in your own consciousness? What if luxury wasn't something you had to chase, but something you could awaken from within? From lack to luxury transformation, Neville Goddard is not just another guide to money or material success. It's a spiritual blueprint that reveals how your inner state of being shapes every experience in your outer world. Rooted in Neville Goddard's timeless teachings on imagination, feeling, and consciousness, this journey helps you step beyond struggle and into the effortless flow of abundance. Neville taught that your outer life is a perfect mirror of your inner beliefs. If you habitually see yourself as someone who never has enough, life will keep reflecting lack. But when you begin to assume the inner feeling of wealth, without waiting for external proof, you set powerful, unseen forces in motion. Money, opportunities, and ideas begin to appear in ways you could never plan or predict. This transformation isn't about hard work, luck, or grinding until you burn out. It's about changing the root cause, your state of consciousness. Neville said, "Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live." And that's exactly what this book will guide you to do. Inside, you'll discover how to why heavy checkmarks shift from poverty thinking to luxury consciousness by mastering your inner dialogue. Why heavy checkmark use imagination as the true creative power, planting seeds of wealth that manifest in the physical world. Rewire your emotional state so that feeling wealthy becomes as natural as breathing. Release guilt, fear, and limiting beliefs about money, opening yourself to receive without resistance. Trust the invisible bridge of events that rearranges your life toward abundance, without forcing or chasing. Unlike traditional self-help, this is not about wishful thinking or empty affirmations. It's about cultivating a deep inner knowing that you are already the source of your wealth. When you live from this awareness, life stops being a fight and becomes a graceful unfolding of opportunities, blessings, and surprises. Whether you're struggling with debt, living paycheck to paycheck, or simply ready to expand into a richer experience of life, these teachings will help you rise above lack and into a reality of plenty. Luxury is not just about material possessions. It's a state of peace, freedom, and ease. And it begins within you. Are you ready to stop living as a victim of circumstance and start living as the creator of your abundance? Turn the page. Your journey from lack to luxury begins now. The foundation of inner wealth. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunities, money, and luxury effortlessly, while others struggle endlessly no matter how hard they work? Neville Goddard taught that the difference is not in luck, education, or external circumstances. It is in consciousness. Everything you experience in life, from your relationships to your finances, is a reflection of the inner state you consistently occupy. Neville often said, "The world is yourself pushed out." This means your outer world mirrors what you believe, assume, and feel to be true about yourself. If deep down you see yourself as someone who is always lacking, someone who never has enough, life has no choice but to reflect that belief back to you. You might work harder, hustle longer, or try to save every penny, yet the experience of lack follows you. Why? Because you haven't shifted the inner cause. This is the foundation of inner wealth. Your thoughts and feelings are the root of everything you call reality. Let's pause for a moment. Think about how most of us were taught about money. From a young age, you may have heard phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "Rich people are selfish," or even, "You have to struggle to make a living." These ideas are quietly absorbed by the subconscious mind, and without realizing it, they shape your self-image. You begin to see yourself as someone who must fight for every bit of success, someone for whom wealth is always out of reach. But Neville invites you to see the world differently. He teaches that luxury is not something you acquire through external effort. It is a state you cultivate within. When you begin to see yourself inwardly as someone who is already wealthy, abundant, and supported, you set in motion invisible forces that reorganize your outer reality. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending bills don't exist. It means understanding that what you see right now is just the effect of past states of mind. If you want to change the effect, you must change the cause. Consider this example Neville shared. A woman struggling with financial hardship came to one of his lectures feeling desperate. Instead of giving her practical tips on saving money or finding a better job, Neville told her to close her eyes and imagine herself living in the end. He asked her to see herself enjoying the kind of life she truly desired, sitting in a beautiful home, surrounded by ease and comfort, feeling the quiet confidence of financial freedom. At first, she resisted. It felt fake. How could she feel wealthy when she had nothing? But she persisted in imagining. Each night, before falling asleep, she lived in that scene in her mind until it felt natural. Within a few months, opportunities she could never have predicted began to appear. She was offered a new position with better pay, an old friend returned a long-forgotten loan, and unexpected gifts flowed into her life. What changed? Her consciousness. And when her inner world shifted, the outer world rearranged itself to match. You see, inner poverty is not about having little. It is about thinking little. It's the belief that you are powerless, that life is against you, that there is never enough. And from that state, no matter how much money passes through your hands, it disappears because the inner feeling of lack remains. But when you change your inner conversation, when you begin to feel the reality of being supported, provided for, and even luxurious, your relationship with money and wealth transforms. You no longer feel desperate or fearful. You stop chasing. You begin to live with a quiet sense of trust, knowing that life always mirrors your state of being. Neville explained it like this. Man moves in a world that is nothing more or less than his consciousness objectified. This is why you cannot wait for the outer world to give you permission to feel wealthy. If you wait until the money arrives to feel abundant, you're delaying the very state that creates it. You must dare to feel it before it shows up. Think about luxury for a moment. What does it really mean? Is it just expensive cars, designer clothes, or a big house? Or is it something deeper, a sense of freedom, peace, and knowing you always have more than enough? Real luxury begins with an inner ease. It is not tied to a specific dollar amount. It is a state of mind. There are people with millions who still feel poor because their inner state is rooted in fear of losing it. And there are people with modest means who live richly because they are free from the feeling of lack. So how do you begin cultivating this inner wealth? Start with awareness. Notice your thoughts about money throughout the day. Do you constantly think, I can't afford this, or it's too hard to make a living? These thoughts may seem harmless, but they are quiet affirmations of lack. Catch them. Gently replace them with new inner conversations like, I always have more than I need, or life is generous and supports me. Then, take time to imagine. Close your eyes and picture yourself already living the life you desire. Feel the comfort of it. Feel the freedom of knowing all your needs are met. You don't need to figure out how it will happen. Your only job is to occupy the state of being wealthy and let life unfold. Remember, this isn't about pretending or forcing positive thinking. It's about shifting into the truth that abundance is your natural state. Neville emphasized that you are not creating something new. You're simply revealing what has always been possible for you. Luxury, therefore, begins before any physical possession appears. It begins in your mind, in your heart, in the silent knowing that you are already whole and complete. When you live from that state, the outer world cannot help but reflect it. So, as you reflect on this first step, building the foundation of inner wealth, ask yourself, what is my current self-concept around money and luxury? Do I secretly believe I'm someone who just gets by? Or can I allow myself to feel worthy of ease and abundance right now? Take a moment to really feel into it. And if you're ready to begin this journey from lack to luxury, I invite you to share where you're watching this from. Drop your city and time in the comments. I'd love to know how far this message is reaching. Now, let's move deeper into how your consciousness shapes your financial reality. Consciousness creates your financial reality. Everything you experience in your outer world is a reflection of your inner state. When it comes to money, this principle is especially powerful. Neville Goddard made it clear that you cannot experience wealth while holding the consciousness of poverty. Your financial reality is not just about hard work, luck, or external circumstances. It's the direct mirror of how you see yourself and what you believe to be true. Think about it. Two people can live in the same city, have similar skills, and even face the same challenges, yet one thrives financially while the other constantly struggles. The difference isn't just in their actions, it's in their consciousness. One has a self-concept aligned with abundance, while the other lives in an inner state of lack. Neville's famous statement summarizes this perfectly. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. This means you don't fix money problems by chasing more money. You fix them by shifting who you believe you are. Let's dive deeper into how this works and how you can align your consciousness with wealth. How awareness of being poor sustains lack. When you constantly think and feel from the state of "I'm broke, I can't afford it," or "money is hard to get," you're keeping yourself locked in a vibrational loop. Even if you take action to earn more, the underlying identity of someone who struggles with money will sabotage or limit your progress. Have you ever noticed that people who win the lottery often lose it all within a few years? That's because they never changed their self-concept. They still saw themselves as someone who didn't know how to manage or deserve wealth. The outer money changed temporarily, but the inner consciousness didn't, so the outer world had to return to match the inner belief. On the other hand, someone who deeply believes they are abundant will always find a way to attract more wealth, even if they temporarily lose it. Their consciousness naturally draws them back to prosperity because that's their baseline self-image. This is why Neville emphasized that it's not enough to simply want more money. If you keep identifying as poor, you'll keep attracting experiences that confirm it, moving into a state of consciousness where wealth feels natural. So how do you shift from the inner state of poverty to the inner state of abundance? You begin by adopting the feeling and identity of someone who already has wealth, even before the physical proof shows up. Neville called this living in the end. Instead of looking at your current circumstances and saying, "I'm broke," you step into the feeling of already being financially free. You create a new self-concept. I am someone who lives in abundance. Money flows to me easily. I am worthy of wealth. When you occupy this state consistently, your subconscious accepts it as truth. And because the outer world must reflect the inner, your financial reality begins to rearrange to match your new identity. At first, this might feel fake or forced. But remember, your current, normal feeling of lack is also just a habit you've practiced for years. The more you practice the feeling of wealth, the more natural it becomes. Practical ways to shift your financial consciousness. Affirm your new identity daily. Instead of repeating affirmations mechanically, speak them as if you're already that wealthy version of yourself. Feel the truth behind them. For example, I am abundant and financially free. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. I am worthy of living a luxurious, stress-free life. Say these with emotion, especially in the morning and before sleep, when your mind is most receptive. Visualize living your desired reality. Close your eyes and imagine yourself already enjoying the financial freedom you desire. What do you see? How do you feel? Who are you with? Make it vivid. Neville called these imaginal acts, and he believed they're the seeds of future reality. Act as if. Start making small decisions as the wealthier version of you would. This doesn't mean overspending or pretending to be something you're not. It means carrying yourself with confidence, generosity, and faith. Catch and replace scarcity thoughts. When you hear yourself thinking, "I can't afford this," pause and replace it with, "I'm creating the means for this." Money is on its way. Surround yourself with abundant signals. Your environment affects your consciousness. Keep your space clean, organized, and uplifting. Spend time in places that make you feel abundant, even if it's just window shopping in a luxury store or visiting beautiful spaces. A simple exercise to embody wealth consciousness. Try this short exercise daily. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and take a few deep breaths. Imagine looking at your bank account and seeing the exact balance you desire. Feel the relief, gratitude, and excitement as if it's real right now. Whisper to yourself, "It is done. This is who I am now." Carry that feeling into your day, even if your current reality hasn't caught up yet. By doing this repeatedly, you're reprogramming your subconscious to accept wealth as your new normal. Why changing your self-conception changes everything. Most people try to change their lives from the outside in. They think if they get more money, they'll finally feel abundant. But Neville taught that it works the other way around. You must first feel abundant, and then the money appears as a reflection of that inner state. When you truly believe you're someone who is abundant and capable, you naturally make better financial decisions. Notice opportunities others overlook. Attract people and situations that support your growth. Release fear and desperation, which clears the way for more flow. You stop sabotaging yourself because you no longer identify as someone who always struggles with money. Instead, you live as someone for whom wealth is natural. From struggle to flow. Let's imagine two scenarios. Old consciousness. You look at your bank account and feel fear. You think, "I can't afford this. I'm always behind. Nothing works for me." That feeling of lack makes you anxious, and you either freeze or take desperate actions that keep you in the same loop. Shifted consciousness. You look at the same bank account, but choose a new perspective. You think, "This is temporary. I am moving into abundance. Money is already on its way to me." You feel calm and open, which allows you to notice inspired actions and unexpected ways for money to come. Same situation, but the consciousness is different, so the outcome will be different. Affirmations to anchor a wealth consciousness. Use these throughout the day to reinforce your new self-concept. I'm a source of my wealth. It begins within me. I am no longer available for lack. Abundance is my natural state. Money is not something I chase. It's something I magnetize through who I am. I am becoming more prosperous every single day. Say them with feeling. Whisper them before you sleep. Let them sink into your subconscious until they feel like the truth. The conscious choice that changes everything. You have a choice every day to identify with the old self who struggles or to step into the new self who thrives. Your current reality might try to convince you that you're still poor, but remember, your outer world is just an echo of past beliefs. It will shift when you shift. Neville said it best. To attempt to change circumstances before you change your imaginal activity is to struggle against the nature of things. You cannot change what you do not first accept in consciousness. So stop waiting for money to come before you feel abundant. Feel abundant now. Be the person who already has it. When you truly live from that state, the outer reality has no choice but to catch up, because your financial reality doesn't begin with your job, your bank account, or the economy. It begins with you, with your consciousness of who you are and what you deserve. Change that, and everything else changes naturally. Feeling as the creative power. Neville Goddard said something profoundly simple yet life-changing. It is not what you want that you attract, it is what you feel. This is one of the most powerful truths about creating wealth or anything you desire. It's not your wish, your hope, or even your hard work alone that shapes your reality. It's the feeling you consistently hold within yourself. You can say, I want to be rich 1,000 times, but if you feel broke, worried, or unworthy inside, your outer world will keep reflecting that emotional state. On the other hand, when you truly feel wealthy, free, and abundant, even before your bank account shows it, you shift your vibration to match the reality you want. Let's explore why feeling is the real creative power, how it differs from mere wishing, and how you can practice the feeling of luxury in simple, everyday moments. Why your emotional state shapes your life more than effort. We've been taught that effort equals results. Work harder, hustle more, grind endlessly, and eventually you'll achieve wealth. But if effort alone created abundance, wouldn't the hardest working people always be the richest? Look around. There are people who work exhausting hours yet remain stuck in financial struggle. And there are others who seem to attract money and opportunities effortlessly. What's the difference? It's their state of being. When you take action from fear, lack, or desperation, you create more of the same. Even your hard work carries the vibration of I don't have enough. But when you take action from confidence, calm, and expectation, you naturally align with better results. Neville explained it like this: feeling is the secret. Your emotions are the language your subconscious understands. The subconscious doesn't respond to empty words or forced effort. It responds to the feeling state you live in. So yes, effort has its place, but must be aligned with the right feeling. Otherwise, you're rowing upstream. Feeling wealthy versus just wishing for wealth. Here's the key distinction. Wishing comes from lack. It says, I don't have it yet. I hope one day I will. It reinforces the gap between you and your desire. Feeling comes from fullness. It says, I already have it in my inner world, and I'm grateful for it now. It closes the gap. When you're just wishing, you're constantly aware of not having. You're looking at the outer world, waiting for proof before you allow yourself to feel good. But when you feel wealthy now, even without external evidence, you're planting the seed that will eventually grow into physical reality. Think of it like preparing for a celebration. You wouldn't wait for the guests to arrive before you set the table. You'd set the table in expectation of their arrival. Likewise, you feel the emotion of wealth as if it's already here, and then the external world rearranges itself to match that inner state. How to practice the feeling of luxury in simple moments. You might wonder, how can I feel wealthy when my current reality doesn't look wealthy at all? The answer is to find ways to trigger the emotion of abundance in everyday life without needing big external changes first. Here are simple ways to do it. Use your imagination before sleep. Each night, close your eyes and imagine one small scene that would imply you are already wealthy. Maybe it's checking your bank account and seeing your desired balance. Maybe it's a friend congratulating you on your success. Let the scene feel real. Then drift into sleep carrying that emotion. Dress your space with care. Even if you live modestly, create little touches of luxury. A clean corner, a fresh flower, a candle you love. When your environment feels intentional and beautiful, it evokes the feeling of I am worthy of nice things. Treat everyday experiences as special. Sip your morning coffee slowly as if you're in an elegant cafe. Take a walk and notice beauty around you. Wealth is not just money. It's a state of appreciating life's richness. Practice gratitude for what you already have. Gratitude instantly shifts your focus from lack to abundance. When you truly appreciate the things you do have, you feel wealthy in spirit, which attracts more. Use simple affirmations with feeling. Say phrases like, I am surrounded by abundance. I am open to the flow of wealth. I am living in luxury consciousness now. Don't just say them. Pause and feel what they would mean if they were already true. Borrow the feeling from small luxuries. Go to a place that feels abundant. A beautiful hotel lobby, a park in a wealthy neighborhood, or even a high-end store. Just being in that energy can spark the emotion of wealth within you. Why simple feelings create big shifts? You don't need to visualize for hours or chant affirmations endlessly. The power is not in the repetition. It's in the emotion you generate. Neville said, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This means if you keep feeling like the person who already has what they desire, your outer world must eventually match it. It's like planting a seed. The moment you feel wealthy, you've planted the seed of that reality. Keep watering it with consistent feeling, and it must grow. This is why people who genuinely expect good things tend to experience them more often. They're living in a vibration of already having, so life mirrors back. A quick daily wealth feeling practice. Here's a simple 2-minute practice you can do anytime. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Picture a moment of financial freedom. Maybe paying off a bill easily, traveling somewhere beautiful, or gifting something special to someone you love. Let yourself feel the relief, pride, and joy of that moment. Smile and silently say, this is my reality now. Thank you. Even just 2 minutes of genuine feeling can shift your state more than hours of worried thinking. Real wealth is a feeling first. Here's the paradox. When you stop waiting for money to feel wealthy, that's when money starts showing up. Because true wealth is not the paper, the numbers, or the things. It's the inner sense of freedom, ease, and joy. When you generate that feeling now, even in small ways, you signal to your subconscious that this is your new normal. And your outer life will reorganize to reflect it. You'll notice subtle changes. You'll have better ideas and take more confident actions. You'll attract people and opportunities that resonate with your higher vibration. You'll stop clinging to money out of fear, which allows more flow. So don't wait for the perfect moment to feel abundant. Start feeling wealthy now, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. That feeling is the real creative power that shapes your life. Now I'd love to hear from you. Comment your place and time while you're watching this. Where in the world are you tapping into this feeling of wealth today? Because no matter where you are, the creative power is already within you. And the moment you feel it, you've already begun to change everything. The power of inner conversations. If you truly pay attention to the conversations you have inside your mind every day, you'll quickly see why your life looks the way it does. Neville Goddard taught that your inner conversations are the seeds of your external reality. The quiet dialogue you repeat. Those little self-talk moments when no one is watching shape your self-concept and, ultimately, your financial destiny. It's easy to underestimate this. We think the big decisions and bold actions are what create results. But beneath those visible moments lies an invisible pattern. The constant chatter in your mind that tells you who you are, what you can have, and what's possible for you. When you change that inner dialogue, you change your entire life. Because you're rewriting the subconscious script that your outer world has no choice but to reflect. Self-talk as a predictor of financial reality. Take a moment and reflect on how you talk to yourself about money. When you see something expensive, do you immediately think, I can't afford that? When an opportunity appears, do you say, I'm probably not qualified, or it's too risky? When you think about your future, do you imagine struggle, or do you expect ease and growth? Those tiny, habitual phrases seem harmless, but they're actually programming your subconscious. They're telling your mind what to believe about who you are financially. And because your outer world always mirrors your inner state, your reality follows suit. Someone who constantly says, I'm always broke, money never stays with me, nothing ever works out, will experience exactly that. But someone who chooses inner dialogue like, money comes to me in many ways, I'm always supported, I'm capable of creating wealth, will eventually experience those truths because their mind is aligned with them. Neville said it plainly. Your inner speech, from moment to moment, reveals the state of your consciousness. By observing and changing it, you change your destiny. Why negative inner dialogues hold so much power? The subconscious doesn't have a sense of humor or logic. It simply accepts what you repeatedly tell it. If you constantly engage in self-talk filled with fear, doubt, and limitation, your mind assumes that's your reality and begins to filter your life to match. For example, if you keep thinking making money is hard, your subconscious will block ideas or opportunities that could prove otherwise. If you keep saying, I'll never get ahead, you'll unconsciously sabotage progress because it contradicts your core belief. If you replay conversations of rejection or failure in your mind, you're reinforcing the vibration of lack. It's not that life is punishing you. It's simply mirroring the inner conversation you're holding most often. Catching and transforming negative inner conversations. The first step to changing this is awareness. You can't shift what you don't notice. Here's how to start. Listen to yourself without judgment. Spend a day becoming conscious of your inner dialogue. What do you tell yourself when you see bills? When you think about your job? When you dream of something bigger? Identify the core themes. Are your inner conversations mostly about scarcity, fear, or frustration? Or do they lean toward possibility, confidence, and trust? Interrupt and replace. When you catch a negative inner dialogue like, I can't afford this, pause. Then gently replace it with a more empowering version, like, I'm creating the means for this. Money flows to me in unexpected ways. At first, this might feel awkward or fake. But remember, your current negative self-talk was also fake once. You just practiced it so long it became automatic. Now you're simply retraining your mind with a new script, rehearsing conversations of success and abundance. Neville Goddard taught a beautiful practice. Instead of replaying old conversations of worry or defeat, rehearse imaginal conversations that imply your wish is already fulfilled. Here's how it works. Imagine a close friend or family member talking to you. But instead of them saying, how are you going to pay your bills? Imagine them saying, wow, I'm so proud of how well you're doing financially. You've created so much abundance. Hear their voice. See their smile. Feel the warmth of that moment as if it's real right now. By doing this repeatedly, you're impressing your subconscious with a new story. You're no longer feeding it images of struggle. You're feeding it the vibration of success. Examples of positive inner conversations. You can adapt this to any financial desire. For example, if you want a new job or business opportunity, imagine someone saying, congratulations. You landed exactly what you wanted. I knew you'd do it. If you want to pay off debt, imagine someone telling you, it's amazing that you're completely free from debt now. It must feel so good. If you want more savings, imagine yourself telling someone, I finally reached my savings goal. I feel so secure and free. The key is to keep it natural and short, like a real conversation would be. And most importantly, feel the emotion of it being already true. Why inner conversations work so powerfully. Your subconscious cannot tell the difference between something vividly imagined and something physically experienced. When you repeatedly rehearse successful inner conversations, your mind accepts them as reality. And once your subconscious believes a new story, your behavior, choices, and even the opportunities you attract begin to align with that story. This isn't just positive thinking. It's a deliberate reprogramming of the inner dialogue that shapes your self-image and, therefore, your financial reality. A simple daily practice to shift inner speech. Here's a short practice you could do anytime. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Think of a friend or a loved one you trust. Imagine them speaking words that imply you are already living in abundance. Hear their tone, see their expression, and feel the pride or excitement in their voice. Respond inwardly with gratitude. Yes, it feels amazing. Thank you. Just 1 or 2 minutes of this is enough to plant a powerful new seed in your subconscious. Living from the end through conversation. Neville often said the fastest way to shift your state is to live in the end. Inner conversations are one of the easiest ways to do this. Instead of begging for money in your imagination, you live as though the desire is already done. You hear and speak the conversations that would naturally happen after your success. For example, you don't imagine asking someone for a loan. You imagine them congratulating you on your financial freedom. You don't rehearse telling someone how broke you are. You rehearse telling them how grateful you are for your thriving business. This subtle shift moves you out of wanting energy and into having energy. And life responds to what you are, not what you want. Why changing inner conversations changes everything. Think about it. Your life right now is simply a reflection of the conversations you've been having with yourself for years. If you've been telling yourself, I can't, I won't, it's hard, you've created a reality that mirrors those words. But the moment you start telling yourself, I can, I am, it's already done, you start creating a new path. Inner conversations are the bridge between imagination and reality. They are the quiet builders of your future. By consciously choosing better ones, you're not pretending. You're shifting the foundation of your life. From scarcity dialogue to abundance dialogue. Here's the truth. Scarcity dialogue keeps you stuck in old patterns. Abundance dialogue opens doors you didn't even know existed. You don't have to wait for money to change your inner conversations. You change your inner conversations first, and then money changes. So start now. The next time you catch yourself mentally worrying, rehearsing fear, or replaying old financial failures, pause and ask, what would I be saying if I already had everything I desired? Then say that, inwardly, clearly, and with feeling. Because the world you see tomorrow will be born from the quiet words you speak to yourself today. Imagination as the doorway to luxury. Neville Goddard believed that imagination is not just daydreaming or wishful thinking. He called it the divine creative force within every human being. To him, imagination was the true cause of everything we experience. He said, imagination creates reality. Everything you see in the outer world, your home, your job, your financial situation, was once an invisible thought, a feeling, or a mental picture. Nothing exists in the physical world that was not first imagined. This means that if you want to move from lack to luxury, you don't start with your outer circumstances, you start with your imagination. By consciously imagining scenes that imply you already have the wealth and lifestyle you desire, you plant a seed in your subconscious mind that will eventually grow into reality. Let's explore how imagination works as the doorway to luxury, why it's more powerful than effort alone, and simple practices you can use to activate it. Imagination, the divine creative power. Neville didn't see imagination as something fake or just in your head. He saw it as the true reality. In his teachings, the physical world is simply a reflection, a delayed shadow, of what you've already accepted in your imagination. Think about it. Before someone built a luxurious home, they first imagined what it would look like. Before someone created a successful business, they first saw it in their mind. Before someone lived a wealthy lifestyle, they first allowed themselves to feel and picture it. Everything begins as an imaginal act. The mind imagines it, the feeling impresses it upon the subconscious, and then life arranges the external circumstances to make it real. So if your imagination is always creating, the question is, what are you imagining most often? Are you imagining worry, struggle, and limitation? Or are you imagining abundance, freedom, and ease? Why imagining luxury plants the seed of reality. When you vividly imagine a scene of luxury, your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. If you hold that imaginal scene long enough and with enough feeling, it becomes your inner truth. And because the outer world must match the inner state, life will begin to shift in ways you cannot predict. You might meet new people, get unexpected ideas, or find opportunities that lead you toward the luxury you imagined. Neville explained it like this. The world in which we live is a mirror of our imaginal activity. What you imagine, you create. What you feel, you attract. What you assume, you become. So when you imagine yourself already living in abundance, you're sending a clear instruction to your subconscious. This is who I am now. From that moment, everything in your life starts rearranging to match that assumption. How to imagine scenes of luxury the Neville way. Neville taught a very specific way of using imagination effectively. Choose a simple, short scene. Don't imagine something long or complicated. Pick a short, natural scene that would happen if you were already living the life you want. For example, a friend congratulating you on your financial success, opening your banking app and seeing your desired balance, sitting in your dream home, feeling peaceful and proud. Enter a relaxed, drowsy state. The best time to imagine is when your mind is quiet and receptive, right before sleep or in a meditative state. This is when the subconscious is most open to suggestion. Feel the reality of it. It's not enough to see it. You must feel it. Feel the emotions you would have if it were already true. Relief, gratitude, joy, confidence. Repeat until it feels natural. At first, it might feel like pretending, but the more you repeat it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, your subconscious accepts it as reality. Small imaginative practices to shift from lack to wealth. Here are simple ways you can use imagination daily to step into the feeling of luxury. Before sleep, each night, as you drift off, imagine one scene that implies your financial dream is fulfilled. For example, imagine a close friend saying, "I can't believe how successful you are now." Hear their voice, feel their excitement, and drift into sleep carrying that feeling. Morning visualization. When you wake up, take 2 minutes to picture yourself living your ideal wealthy day. What are you wearing? Where are you? Who's with you? Most importantly, how do you feel? Luxury micro moments. Even when you're doing something simple like drinking water or coffee, imagine you're in a luxury setting. Pretend you're in a beautiful cafe or a 5-star hotel. This trains your mind to associate everyday life with richness and ease. Mental rehearsal for purchases. If there's something you want but can't yet afford, imagine yourself already owning it. Picture yourself using it, enjoying it, feeling grateful for it. Silent gratitude walks. Take a walk and silently thank the universe for the wealth that's already yours in the unseen. Imagine you're walking as someone who is already free and prosperous. Why imagination is more powerful than effort alone. Most people try to change their financial reality by forcing action. They hustle endlessly, hoping to finally earn luxury. But without changing the inner picture, the outer action often feels like pushing against a wall. Imagination, on the other hand, changes your state of consciousness. And when your inner state shifts, your actions naturally become more inspired, effective, and aligned. You start to notice opportunities you would have missed before. You carry yourself with more confidence. People respond to you differently. In short, imagination changes the cause, and effort is just the effect. A quick 3-minute imagination practice for wealth. Try this simple practice tonight. Lie down comfortably and close your eyes. Breathe deeply and let your body relax. Picture a very specific moment that would happen if you were already wealthy. Maybe you're holding the keys to your new home, or you're looking at your fully paid off bills. Add sensory details. What do you see, hear, and feel? Most importantly, feel the relief, gratitude, and joy of it being done. Fall asleep with that feeling in your heart. Do this every night for at least a week. You'll notice your mood, your energy, and even the way you see opportunities begin to change. Imagination is the first step to real luxury. Here's the beautiful thing about this process. You don't need to wait for luxury to show up in the physical world to start enjoying it. Through imagination, you can feel it right now. And the moment you allow yourself to feel it, you've already begun creating it. Neville explained this beautifully. If you persist in an assumption, it will harden into fact. Your imagination is the key to everything you desire. So don't underestimate the power of a few quiet moments each day. Those little scenes you play in your mind are more powerful than all the worry, effort, and struggle you've been taught to rely on. Luxury doesn't begin with money. It begins with an inner state, a mental picture that feels so real, your subconscious can't help but bring it into form. Start small. Imagine one luxurious moment today. Feel it deeply, and know that in that moment, you've already opened the doorway to the life you desire. Revision of past financial failures. Most of us carry silent scars from our financial past. Moments where we lost money, made poor decisions, faced rejection, or experienced humiliation around wealth. These experiences often leave behind emotional residue. Guilt, shame, fear, or a deep belief that I'm just not good with money. Neville Goddard taught that the past is not fixed. It exists only as a memory, and memory lives in the mind. Since imagination creates reality, you can revise the past in your imagination, which changes how it affects you in the present. This technique, called revision, is one of Neville's most profound tools. By revising painful financial memories, you release the emotional charge they carry. You stop repeating the same patterns of failure and open yourself to a new timeline where wealth becomes natural and effortless. Let's explore how revision works, why it's so powerful, and how you can use it to heal your financial story. Why your past still shapes your financial present. Think about a time you made a money mistake. Maybe you lost an investment, went into debt, or were rejected for a job or business opportunity. Even though it's over, does it still sting when you think about it? That's because the subconscious doesn't know time the way your conscious mind does. To your deeper mind, that past event is still alive. It still influences your present self-concept, creating thoughts like, I'm not good with money. I always mess up. Wealth just isn't for people like me. And as long as you keep carrying that old story, you unconsciously recreate similar situations. You might hesitate to take new opportunities. You might sabotage success when it comes. You might even avoid wealth altogether because deep down, it feels unsafe. Neville said, man is not the victim of the world he sees. He is the victim of his own imaginal acts. So if you want a new financial future, you must first release the old imaginal acts, the painful memories and assumptions from the past. How revision changes the past to heal the present. Revision is simple but deeply transformative. You take a past event that hurt you and reimagine it the way you wish it had happened. For example, if you were rejected for a promotion, imagine the scene where your boss congratulates you instead. If you lost money in a deal, imagine yourself making a wise decision and profiting instead. If someone insulted you about your financial situation, imagine them praising you for your success. You're not lying to yourself. You're creating a new memory, a new inner reality. And because the subconscious only responds to what it accepts as true now, the revised version replaces the old one. Neville explained it like this. Change the past by revising it, and you change the present and future. The past and present are not separate. They are one continuous imaginal act. When you revise, you literally free yourself from the emotional weight of the old story. You stop living as the person who failed and step into the identity of the person who succeeds. How to practice financial revision step by step. Here's a simple way to do it. Identify the scene. Pick one financial memory that still feels heavy. Maybe it was a debt, a bad investment, or a moment you felt humiliated about money. Enter a relaxed state. Sit or lie down quietly, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Let your body and mind relax. Replay the memory. See the event as it originally happened. Acknowledge how it made you feel. Change the ending. Now, imagine the event unfolding the way you wish it had. See yourself making the right choice. Hear the words you would have loved to hear. Feel the relief and success as if it really happened. Feel the new reality. Let yourself deeply feel the emotions of this revised scene: pride, gratitude, confidence. Anchor it. Say to yourself silently, this is how it happened. This is my truth now. Repeat this a few times until the new version feels more real than the old one. Examples of revising financial situations. Debt. Instead of replaying the fear of owing money, imagine the moment you receive the funds to pay it off. Picture your account balance at zero. Hear someone congratulating you for becoming debt-free. Job or business rejection. Instead of reliving the disappointment, imagine the person calling you with good news. See their smile, hear the excitement in their voice, and feel your own joy as if you've already succeeded. Embarrassment about money. Instead of replaying the shame, imagine someone respecting and admiring you for your wisdom and abundance. Why revision works so powerfully. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between what really happened and what is vividly imagined. If you repeatedly revise a past scene, the mind accepts the new version as the only memory. And here's the magic. When the emotional charge of the old memory disappears, you stop attracting similar experiences. Your present reality begins to shift because you're no longer carrying the same inner state. Neville shared many stories of students who revised their past and saw immediate changes. Neville's students' experiences with revising poverty stories. One student had been deeply ashamed of a time she couldn't pay her rent. She kept reliving that fear every month, and even years later, she still struggled financially. Neville told her to revise that moment, to imagine herself confidently handing over the rent in full and feeling proud. Within weeks, she received an unexpected financial gift from a relative that not only paid her rent, but left her with extra money. She realized that the shame she had been holding onto was blocking her ability to receive abundance. Another student revised a memory of being denied a bank loan. In imagination, he saw the banker smiling and approving the loan with ease. 2 weeks later, a different bank reached out with an even better financial opportunity. In both cases, nothing in the external world changed first. The change happened in the inner world, and the outer reality simply rearranged to match. When to use revision for money. After a financial loss or mistake, revise it immediately to stop the negative momentum. Before sleep, go back through your day. Any moment that felt lacking, Revise it to feel abundant instead. Anytime you remember a painful financial event, don't replay it as it was. Replay it as you wish it had been. The more you practice, the lighter and freer you'll feel. You'll no longer be trapped by the weight of your money past. From old poverty stories to a new wealth identity. Here's the key insight. You're not bound by your past unless you keep repeating it in your imagination. The you who lost money, made mistakes, or felt unworthy is not the real you. It's just a story you've been carrying. When you revise the story, you revise your self-image. And the moment you stop identifying as someone who always fails with money and start identifying as someone who makes wise, abundant choices, your present and future begin to reflect that new truth. A simple nightly revision ritual. Before bed, close your eyes and review your day. Did anything today trigger feelings of lack, fear, or limitation about money? If yes, revise it. Imagine the scene ending better. See yourself receiving, succeeding, or feeling secure. End the day on a high note. Drift into sleep carrying the feeling of a financially free and successful version of yourself. Do this consistently, and you'll notice your relationship with money and even your external financial situation begin to change, sometimes in ways that seem almost miraculous. Because in Neville's words, the present is not receding into the past, it is advancing into the future. To change the future, you must change the past in your imagination. When you revise your past financial failures, you free yourself to create a future filled with luxury, ease, and abundance. The power of faith in unseen supply. There's an invisible supply of wealth, ideas, and opportunities always available to you. But most people never access it because they rely only on what they can see with their physical eyes. They trust their bank account more than their inner knowing. They trust the economy more than the power of their own mind. Neville Goddard taught that faith is the bridge between what you desire and what you experience. He defined faith in a way that was radically different from blind hope. To Neville, faith wasn't waiting for something external to change. It was loyalty to the unseen reality you've already claimed in imagination. He said, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It is perceiving the unseen as already real and persisting in that belief until it hardens into fact. If you can hold faith in what you cannot yet see, you will witness life reshaping itself to match that unseen state. Let's explore why faith is essential, how it becomes the bridge from lack to plenty, and practical ways to strengthen it. Why trusting what you cannot yet see is the key. Most people look at their current reality and use it as the measuring stick for what's possible. They see their low bank balance and say, this is all I can afford. They see a job rejection and conclude, I'm not good enough. They see debt and think, I'll never get ahead. But Neville explained that what you see right now is simply a reflection of past assumptions. It's not permanent. It's just an echo of what you once imagined and believed. So if you only react to what you see, you stay trapped in the same cycle. To create something new, you must trust what you cannot yet see. You must accept the unseen state, wealth, abundance, luxury, as more real than the current outer picture. Faith is that invisible bridge. It allows you to remain loyal to your inner vision even when the outer world hasn't caught up yet. Faith as loyalty to the unseen reality. Neville's definition of faith is profound. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It means that once you've imagined and felt the fulfillment of your desire, you stay faithful to it, no matter what your senses say. For example, if you've imagined yourself debt-free, you remain faithful to that feeling even if bills still arrive. If you've imagined yourself living in luxury, you remain loyal to that inner state even if your outer environment looks modest. If you've imagined wealth flowing to you easily, you keep trusting that flow even if you can't yet see where it's coming from. Faith is not about forcing or begging. It's about calmly knowing it is done within me. Therefore, it will show itself outwardly in the perfect way and time. Why faith is the bridge from lack to plenty. Without faith, you're constantly pulled back into lack. You might imagine abundance for a moment, but then you look around and say, nothing's changing. You give up, and the old story continues. Faith is what keeps the seed of your desire alive long enough for it to sprout. Just like a farmer plants seeds and trusts they will grow. Even though the soil looks empty, you must hold faith in your imaginal act. Think about it. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the unseen process. When you order something online, You don't doubt it will arrive just because you can't see it yet. You trust it's on the way. Faith in imagination works the same way. You've planted the seed of luxury. You've claimed it in your mind. Now you remain loyal to it, even if the outer picture looks unchanged for a while. How to strengthen spiritual faith. Here are simple practices to build unshakable faith in unseen supply. Daily inner reminders. Several times a day, remind yourself, what I desire already exists in the unseen. It is mine now. Act as if it's already true. Faith expresses itself through your behavior. Walk, speak, and carry yourself as someone who is already abundant. This isn't about pretending. It's about embodying your new identity. Limit outer distractions. If you constantly read news about scarcity or surround yourself with people who complain about money, it weakens your faith. Instead, fill your mind with stories of success and possibility. Revisit your imaginal scene. Each night before sleep, replay the scene of your fulfilled desire. Feel it deeply. This anchors your faith in the unseen. Practice gratitude for the invisible. Thank the universe for your wealth even before it shows up physically. Gratitude aligns you with the energy of already having it. Affirmations to build faith in the unseen. You can use affirmations to strengthen your trust in what you cannot yet see. I remain loyal to my unseen reality. Everything I desire already exists within me. I trust the invisible process that brings my wealth to life. My faith bridges the gap between imagination and reality. It is done. I rest in certainty. Speak these calmly, not as desperate pleas, but as statements of truth. Stories of faith leading to abundance. Neville shared many stories of his students who used faith to transform their finances. One woman imagined herself receiving an unexpected sum of money. She held faith in that unseen reality even when nothing seemed to happen for weeks. Then, out of nowhere, she received an inheritance from a distant relative she didn't even know existed. Another man was struggling with debt. Instead of obsessing over bills, he imagined himself free and prosperous. He kept faith even when the debt collectors called. Within months, a business opportunity came that cleared his debts completely and gave him more than he expected. In both cases, faith was the key. They didn't know how it would happen. They simply remained loyal to the unseen reality until it showed itself. Faith and patience, the silent partnership. Faith works hand in hand with patience. You don't demand instant results. You trust the timing, knowing that life always delivers in the best way. Neville often said, your imaginal act is like a seed. It contains within itself all it needs to grow. Simply remain faithful. It will appear in its own appointed hour. When you live with this kind of quiet trust, you stop worrying about when or how. You know it's already done, so you rest in peace. Living faithfully in abundance consciousness. Faith isn't a one-time event. It's a daily choice. It's the decision to stay inwardly rich even if your outer reality hasn't caught up yet. When you hold faith in unseen supply, you stop acting like someone desperate for money. You stop vibrating with lack. Instead, you carry yourself with calm confidence, knowing that life is rearranging itself in ways you can't yet see. And that's when the magic happens. Unexpected opportunities, sudden windfalls, new ideas, and better choices naturally appear because your faith has aligned you with abundance. A gentle reminder. Right now, there's a version of you already living in the wealth and luxury you desire. It exists in the unseen. Faith is what connects you to that version and allows it to become visible. So whenever doubt creeps in, gently return to this truth. I am loyal to the unseen reality of my abundance. It is already done. Hold that faith, nurture it like a precious seed, and watch as your life begins to blossom with more wealth and freedom than you ever imagined. If this message of faith inspired you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe for more powerful teachings and timeless wisdom on wealth and consciousness. Breaking free from collective poverty thinking. Everywhere you turn, society is feeding you fear-based money stories. You see headlines about economic crises, recessions, inflation, layoffs, and financial struggles. You hear people around you complaining about rising prices, lack of opportunities, or how money doesn't come easy. Even casual conversations often reinforce the same idea. Wealth is rare, difficult, and reserved for a lucky few. Neville Goddard called this the mass mind, the collective consciousness of the world that operates from limitation and fear. Most people unconsciously accept these collective beliefs as their own truth, and as a result, they live within the same limits. But here's the truth. You are not required to participate in collective poverty thinking. You can step out of it and create your own financial reality by holding onto a higher, personal truth, one that is not swayed by external noise. Let's explore how society's money stories influence you, how to separate yourself from the mass mind of scarcity, and how to maintain inner abundance even when the world screams lack. How society programs you into scarcity. From a young age, you've been programmed with messages like, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for every penny. Rich people are greedy. It's selfish to want more when others are struggling. These messages don't just come from family or culture. They're reinforced everywhere. News outlets constantly report financial disasters. Social media amplifies economic fear. Movies and shows often portray wealthy people as corrupt and poor people as noble but helpless. This creates a collective emotional frequency of fear, lack, and helplessness around money. If you're not aware of it, you unconsciously absorb it. You start thinking the same thoughts as everyone else, which leads to living the same struggles as everyone else. Neville warned about this. Man is moved by the collective consciousness unless he awakens to the truth that imagination creates reality. In other words, if you don't consciously direct your inner state, the mass mind will direct it for you. The mass mind of limitation. The mass mind believes there's not enough for everyone. The economy determines your wealth. Opportunities are limited. You're at the mercy of external forces. When you live in this mass mind, you're like a leaf blown around by the wind. If the news says the economy is bad, you feel powerless. If everyone around you is struggling, you assume you must struggle too. But Neville taught that your personal consciousness is more powerful than collective consciousness. You are not a victim of the world's stories unless you agree with them. Separating yourself from the poverty frequency. So how do you break free from the collective fear and step into personal abundance? Stop feeding on scarcity media. If you constantly consume news about financial crises or watch social media that glorifies struggle, you're tuning into that frequency. Instead, be intentional about what you read, watch, and listen to. Question the truths everyone repeats. Whenever you hear someone say, it's hard to make money right now, ask yourself, is that true for everyone? Or are there people thriving despite this? There are always people creating wealth, even in so-called bad times. Spend time in inner silence. The more you connect with your inner self, the less influence the outside world has over you. Meditation, stillness, or quiet reflection helps you detach from the noise of the mass mind. Surround yourself with abundance thinkers. If possible, spend more time with people who believe in possibility, not limitation. Conversations with expansive thinkers naturally raise your perspective. Replace mass beliefs with personal truths. Write your own beliefs about money. For example, there's always more than enough. I create my wealth through consciousness, not the economy. Opportunities are infinite. Holding on to personal truth amidst scarcity noise. When the world screams scarcity, you must hold on to your own truth like a lighthouse in a storm. Your truth might be, I am wealthy within. Therefore, wealth must appear without. My supply comes from within me, not from the outer world. I am not limited by collective conditions. Even if the news says the economy is collapsing, even if your friends complain about prices, even if everyone around you seems to be struggling, stay loyal to your personal inner state of abundance. Neville reminded his students, you are not called upon to accept the beliefs of the masses. Live in your own imaginal world, and you will rise above the collective state. The power of individual consciousness over the collective. Here's the amazing thing. One individual consciousness aligned with abundance is more powerful than thousands of people operating in fear. Why? Because the mass mind is unconscious. It's reactive. It's driven by fear. But when you consciously create your inner reality, you're operating from deliberate imagination and faith, which is infinitely stronger. This is why some people thrive during recessions, while others sink deeper into lack. The outer conditions are the same, but the inner state is different. Practical exercises to stay above the mass mind. Morning mental reset. Each morning, before you check your phone or read the news, affirm, today I live in my own world of wealth and ease. My supply is unlimited. Conscious filtering. If someone speaks fear about money, silently reject it. You don't have to argue, just don't accept it as your truth. Create your own economy in imagination. Close your eyes and imagine your personal economy flourishing. See yourself receiving unexpected income, enjoying financial freedom, and feeling completely secure. Daily detachment practice. Spend 10 minutes in stillness, imagining that you live in a parallel reality untouched by the world's fears. This trains your mind to operate independently from the collective. Neville students who rose above collective lack. Neville often told stories of students who thrived despite the world's conditions. One student lived through a severe economic downturn where everyone around her was losing jobs and struggling. Instead of panicking, she imagined herself in a secure and prosperous position. She held on to that inner picture no matter what she heard from others. Within weeks, she was offered a new role in her company with a higher salary, while others were being laid off. Another student was surrounded by family members who constantly complained about money. Instead of joining in, he silently affirmed his own abundance. Eventually, he started a business that flourished and even helped his family out of their struggles. These stories prove that you're never bound by the collective reality, only by the state you choose to occupy. Your personal truth is stronger than the world's noise. You can choose right now to step out of the mass mind of poverty and into your own personal truth. The world may say, it's impossible, but you say, with imagination, all things are possible. The world may say, there's not enough, but you say, I live in an infinite supply. The world may scream scarcity, but you can remain calm, abundant, and faithful, because you know the outer world must eventually conform to your inner world. Neville summed it up beautifully. You are in the world, but you are not of it. You belong to a higher state of consciousness. Rise above the beliefs of the masses and live in your own imaginal world. When you break free from collective poverty thinking, you become unstoppable. You create your own economy, your own opportunities, and your own abundance, regardless of what the world is doing. Gratitude as the magnet of increase. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces you can activate in your life. It might seem like a simple practice, just saying thank you, but when it comes from genuine feeling, gratitude shifts your entire vibration. It moves you out of fear, lack, and struggle, and into the energy of abundance, which naturally attracts more to you. Neville Goddard often emphasized the importance of feeling, and gratitude is one of the purest, most magnetic feelings you can hold. It aligns your mind and heart with the frequency of wealth, success, and fulfillment, even before the physical evidence appears. In this segment, we'll explore why gratitude multiplies what you have, how to feel grateful for future wealth as if it's already here, and some simple daily practices to make gratitude a natural part of your wealth consciousness. Why gratitude expands what you have. Have you noticed that when you focus on what you lack, you seem to attract more lack? But when you appreciate what you already have, life seems to give you more reasons to be thankful. This is not random. It's how consciousness works. Your inner state is always mirrored back to you. When you feel lack, you're telling your subconscious, I don't have enough. The subconscious then creates more situations to confirm that feeling. When you feel gratitude, you're telling your subconscious, I already have more than enough. The subconscious responds by creating more evidence of abundance. Neville said, to feel thankful for what you desire is to recognize it as already accomplished. So gratitude is not just appreciation for the past or present. It's a signal to the universe that you're already fulfilled. And what is already fulfilled within must eventually show itself without. Gratitude for the present creates a foundation for more. Start by appreciating the wealth you already have, no matter how small it seems. Maybe your current financial situation isn't where you want it to be, but you can still be grateful for the money you do have, even if it's just a little, the ability to earn, create, and learn, the clothes on your back, the food you eat, the roof over your head, the opportunities, ideas, and relationships that are already in your life. When you focus on these things with genuine appreciation, you shift from a state of lack to a state of enoughness. And from there, it's easier for more abundance to flow. Feeling grateful for future wealth as if it's already here. Here's where it gets really powerful. Gratitude isn't just for what's visible right now. True creative gratitude is for the wealth you've already claimed in imagination, even if it hasn't yet appeared in the physical world. When you imagine yourself financially free, living in luxury, or enjoying the success you desire, add this layer. Feel deep gratitude as if it's already real. For example, imagine checking your bank account and seeing the exact balance you want. Then feel the joy and relief as if you're truly looking at it right now. Imagine living in your dream home. Run your hand along the walls, breathe in the space, and thank life for this beautiful gift. Imagine paying off all debts or surprising your loved ones with generosity. Then feel the gratitude for the freedom it brings. Neville explained, feeling thankful before it is seen is the surest proof that you have received it in consciousness. And having received it, you will receive it physically. So when you feel grateful for future wealth now, you're collapsing the gap between the unseen and the seen. Gratitude shifts your vibrational frequency. Every emotion has a frequency. Fear, worry, and doubt vibrate at a heavy, low energy that blocks abundance. Gratitude vibrates at one of the highest frequencies. It's light, open, and expansive. When you practice gratitude, even for a few minutes, your entire energetic state rises. And in that higher frequency, you naturally attract better ideas, better people, and better opportunities. This is why some people seem to have good luck. It's not random. They're simply operating at a higher vibration through feelings like gratitude, joy, and trust. Simple gratitude practices to shift into abundance. Morning gratitude reset. As soon as you wake up, before reaching for your phone, silently list 5 things you're grateful for. Feel the appreciation deeply. It sets the tone for the whole day. Gratitude walk. Take a short walk, and with each step, say thank you for something in your life. It can be big or small. Just keep your mind in a stream of appreciation. Gratitude for money. Every time you spend money, on bills, groceries, anything, pause and say, thank you for this money and the ease with which it returns multiplied. This removes fear around spending and keeps money flowing. Evening gratitude visualization. Before sleep, close your eyes and visualize your desired wealth as if it's already done. Then feel deep gratitude for it. Fall asleep in that thankful state. Gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things you're thankful for right now, and 3 things you're thankful for that are on the way. For example, I'm grateful for the money I have. I'm grateful for the beautiful home I live in. Future. I'm grateful for the endless opportunities that come easily to me. Why gratitude dissolves resistance. When you're constantly worrying about money, you're in a state of tension. That tension blocks the natural flow of wealth. Gratitude, on the other hand, relaxes you. It tells your subconscious, I already have enough. I trust life to keep providing. This state of trust and relaxation dissolves resistance. It allows ideas and solutions to come to you. It makes you more receptive to opportunities you might otherwise miss. Stories of gratitude multiplying wealth. Neville shared the story of a woman who was struggling financially. Instead of complaining, she began thanking life for the abundance she imagined was coming to her. Each night before sleep, she felt sincere gratitude for a miracle of money, even though nothing had changed yet. Within a few weeks, she received unexpected funds from inheritance she didn't even know existed. Another student, a businessman facing bankruptcy, shifted his focus from fear to gratitude. He thanked life for the clients he imagined receiving and the contracts he imagined closing. Within months, his business turned around completely. Both examples show the same truth. Gratitude aligns you with receiving. Gratitude plus faith equals unstoppable combination. Gratitude by itself is powerful, but when you combine it with faith in unseen supply, it becomes unstoppable. Faith says, it is already done in imagination. Gratitude says, thank you for this reality, here now. Together, they collapse time. They bring the unseen into the seen. Live in a state of constant thanks. The ultimate goal isn't just to do gratitude practices occasionally. It's to live in a state of gratitude. To move through life always aware of how much is already working in your favor and how much more is coming. When gratitude becomes your natural state, you stop chasing money in desperation. You start attracting wealth effortlessly. You feel rich now, which ensures you become rich in experience. As Neville said, be thankful for what you want, as if you had already received it, and you shall receive it. Gratitude is not just a polite emotion. It is the magnetic force that draws more abundance into your life. Start today. Feel it for what you have. Feel it for what's coming. And watch your financial reality shift in ways that seem miraculous. Inner vision boards of wealth. When most people want to improve their finances or manifest a luxurious life, they jump straight into doing. They work harder, hustle more, or look for external strategies to create wealth. While action has its place, Neville Goddard taught that the true creative power lies within your imagination, not your physical effort. He emphasized that mental pictures shape your reality. What you consistently see and feel within your mind becomes the blueprint for your outer life. It's like planting seeds in the soil of your subconscious. Once those seeds are impressed, life rearranges itself to match them. So instead of relying solely on physical vision boards filled with magazine cutouts or images on a wall, Neville encouraged creating inner vision boards. vivid, emotionally charged mental scenes that represent the life you desire. In this segment, we'll explore why mental pictures are more powerful than effort alone, how to create vivid inner scenes of luxury, and how using the drowsy state before sleep makes these visions deeply effective. Why Neville emphasized mental pictures over physical effort. Neville often said, "You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are conscious of being." In other words, you can work endlessly toward something, but if your inner state still feels poor or lacking, you'll only create more struggle. He taught that imagination is the real cause of everything you experience. Your outer world is simply the shadow of your inner pictures. If you want to change the shadow, you must change the image. Physical effort without a corresponding inner change often leads to frustration. But when you shift your mental picture first, effort becomes effortless. Aligned opportunities naturally show up, and the right actions feel inspired instead of forced. This is why Neville encouraged his students to live in the end, to mentally and emotionally experience the fulfillment of their desire now, before it appears outwardly, creating vivid inner scenes of a luxurious life. So how do you build an inner vision board that feels real enough to influence your subconscious? Choose the core scene. Pick one short, meaningful scene that implies your wealth and luxury is already real. For example, a friend congratulating you on your financial success, holding the keys to your new dream home, looking at your bank statement showing the exact balance you want, relaxing on a beautiful vacation, feeling completely free. Add sensory details. The more sensory-rich your mental picture, the more real it feels to your subconscious. Ask yourself, what do I see? Colors, shapes, surroundings. What do I hear? Voices, music, ocean waves. What do I feel? Textures, emotions, the atmosphere. What do I smell or taste? Fresh flowers, luxurious food, the scent of new leather seats in a car. Infuse emotion. The subconscious responds to feeling, not just images. Don't just see the luxury. Feel the joy, relief, pride, and gratitude as if it's happening now. Keep it short and repeatable. Neville advised keeping the imaginal scene short. Like a small loop you can easily replay. This prevents your mind from drifting and makes the feeling more focused. Examples of inner vision scenes. Here are a few simple but powerful imaginal acts. The handshake of success. Picture someone you deeply respect shaking your hand and saying, "I'm so proud of what you've achieved." Feel the warmth of their hand, hear the sincerity in their voice, and let the emotion of success fill you. The bank statement. Visualize yourself opening a bank app or envelope and seeing the exact balance you want. Feel the surge of gratitude and security. The vacation scene. Imagine lying on a luxurious beach chair, hearing waves crashing, feeling the warm sun, and knowing you're free because money is no longer a worry. The homecoming. See yourself walking through the doors of your dream home, feeling the textures of the furniture, smelling fresh flowers, and knowing this is your life now. Why drowsy states deepen the impression. Neville emphasized using the state akin to sleep, SATs, those drowsy moments right before falling asleep or just after waking up. Why? Because in that relaxed, half-awake state, your critical conscious mind quiets down and your subconscious becomes highly receptive to suggestions. When you visualize in this state, your mind doesn't argue or reject the idea. It accepts it as real. And once your subconscious accepts something as real, it works tirelessly to bring it into your physical experience. So each night before you drift off to sleep, relax your body completely. Bring up your chosen inner scene. Replay it gently, slowly, as if it's happening right now. Feel the emotions of fulfillment and let yourself drift into sleep in that feeling. Neville called this falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. He said this technique alone could transform any aspect of your life. Inner vision boards versus physical vision boards. Physical vision boards can be fun, but they're only a reminder. They don't have power unless they trigger a felt experience in your imagination. An inner vision board, however, is alive. It's felt. It's experienced as real within. Neville made this very clear. Your imagination is the creative power. What you see and feel within becomes your outer world. The outer world is only a reflection of the inner. So while you can use physical boards as prompts, the real magic happens when you step into the mental scene and feel it. How inner vision boards bypass limiting beliefs. When you imagine vividly enough, you bypass the logical mind that says, "But how? But when?" Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a physical one. If you see and feel wealth often enough in imagination, your subconscious begins to accept it as normal. Once it feels normal inside, you naturally start behaving, thinking, and making decisions like someone wealthy. Opportunities, ideas, and people aligned with that new identity begin showing up. Daily practice for mental wealth scenes. Here's a simple routine you can follow. Morning reset. Upon waking, close your eyes and spend 3 minutes replaying your wealth scene. Feel it as a reality you're already living. Daytime quick loop. At random moments, while waiting in line, taking a break, mentally step into your luxurious scene for just 30 seconds. Feel it, then release it. Nightly sat session. Before bed, relax and slowly replay your inner vision board. Let the feeling grow stronger and drift into sleep as if it's already true. Real-life examples of inner vision success. Neville shared many success stories from students who created inner vision boards. One student imagined holding the keys to a luxurious apartment every night before sleep. Within months, an opportunity arose to move into a beautiful home that matched her scene exactly, even though she didn't know how it would happen. Another student, facing financial struggles, imagined being congratulated for a successful business. He held that scene in sats every night. A few weeks later, a friend unexpectedly offered him a business partnership that transformed his income. In both cases, there was no logical how at the start. The inner vision created the outer opportunity. Your inner vision is the seed of outer wealth. Think of your inner scenes as seeds. You plant them in the soil of your subconscious through repetition and feeling. You don't need to dig them up or worry about how they'll grow. You simply nurture them daily with faith and feeling. Eventually, the outer world rearranges itself to reflect the inner picture. This is why Neville said, "The world is yourself pushed out." Change your inner conversations and images, and the outer must conform. So instead of struggling with endless effort, start with the effortless power of your imagination. Build a vivid inner vision board of wealth. Step into it daily, feel it as real, and watch as life begins to reflect the luxury you've already claimed within. Removing guilt and fear about wealth. For many people, the biggest barrier to abundance isn't a lack of opportunity. It's the quiet guilt and fear they carry about money. Deep inside, they've absorbed conflicting beliefs. I want more, but is it wrong to desire wealth? Or rich people are greedy. What if I become like them? Or I've made mistakes with money before. Maybe I don't deserve another chance. These hidden feelings of guilt, shame, or fear create resistance. Even if you consciously desire luxury, your subconscious may secretly reject it. And since your outer world mirrors your inner state, you end up blocking the very wealth you wish to attract. Neville Goddard and other spiritual teachers made it clear. Money itself is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It simply amplifies the consciousness of the person who holds it. Wealth is not a sin. It is a natural expression of the divine flow of life. In this segment, we'll dissolve the false belief that wanting luxury is wrong. See wealth as a spiritual expression rather than greed, and forgive ourselves for past financial mistakes so we can move forward free of resistance. Why guilt about wealth blocks abundance? If you secretly feel bad about desiring money, your subconscious will never let you have it. You may take action toward wealth, but deep down you're sending a mixed signal. I want this, but I feel wrong for wanting it. This creates an energetic push and pull. You manifest temporary gains, but they slip away. Or you keep yourself at a level of just enough because anything beyond that feels excessive. Where does this guilt come from? Cultural programming. Many cultures glorify struggle as noble and wealth as selfish. You may have heard, rich people are corrupt, or money is the root of all evil. Religious misinterpretation. Some were taught that being poor is more spiritual, misquoting scripture like, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, while ignoring the countless teachings about abundance as a divine blessing. Family beliefs. If your parents struggled financially, you may feel guilty for wanting a life beyond what they had. Past mistakes. If you mishandled money before, you might subconsciously punish yourself by blocking new wealth. But here's the truth. Your desire for a better life is not wrong. It's divine. Wealth is a divine expression, not greed. Money is just energy. It's a tool, a means of exchange, creation, and expansion. In the hands of someone with love and integrity, money becomes a force for good. It feeds families, builds homes, supports dreams, and uplifts communities. Neville never condemned wealth. He taught that life is meant to be full and abundant. He said, "You are free to choose the kind of world you want to live in. Choose wisely and lovingly." When you understand wealth as part of life's natural abundance, you see that desiring luxury is no different than desiring beauty, health, or love. It's an expression of the same creative power that made the stars and oceans. Would you call a tree greedy for growing tall, or a flower selfish for blooming fully? Of course not. Then why would your desire to expand be wrong? Luxury is simply a higher expression of the life force. It allows you to experience more beauty, comfort, and freedom, so you can give and create even more. Reframing the belief, money is not dirty. Many people subconsciously associate money with dirty things, corruption, greed, exploitation. But money itself is neutral. It doesn't create greed. It only amplifies the nature of the person holding it. When loving people have money, they create loving things. When fearful people have money, they create fearful things. The money itself is not to blame. So, affirm a new truth. Money is simply a tool for good in my hands. I can be wealthy and still be kind, generous, and loving. Luxury is a reflection of the divine abundance within me. When you see money as clean, beautiful energy, you stop rejecting it on a subconscious level. Forgiving yourself for past financial mistakes. Sometimes, the guilt doesn't come from society. It comes from your own history. Maybe you made poor financial decisions in the past. Maybe you lost money, overspent, or missed opportunities. Instead of moving on, you may carry hidden shame. I messed up before, so I don't deserve another chance. This belief keeps you stuck, but holding on to regret only recreates the same cycle. Neville's teaching of revision can heal this. Close your eyes. Think of the financial mistake that still haunts you. Reimagine the outcome. Instead of seeing yourself failing, imagine the scene going beautifully. See yourself making a wise choice, feeling confident, and having a positive outcome. Feel it is real. Replace the old memory with a new one. Feel relief and gratitude as if it really happened. By revising the past in imagination, you free yourself from its emotional grip. You're no longer bound by shame. You're creating from a clean slate. Also, remind yourself, mistakes are just lessons. They don't define you. They actually gave you wisdom for the next chapter of your wealth journey. Simple practices to release guilt and fear around money. Daily forgiveness affirmation. Each morning, say, I forgive myself for any past money mistakes. I release guilt. I am worthy of wealth now. Blessing money exercise. Every time you receive or spend money, silently bless it. This money is pure energy and returns multiplied for good. Luxury normalization. Visit a luxury store, hotel, or neighborhood. Not to buy, but simply to acclimate your mind. Walk around feeling, I belong here. This is normal for me. Generosity practice. Give freely, whether it's a tip, a donation, or helping someone in need. This shows your subconscious that money is not something to hoard in fear, but something that flows. Understanding desire is divine. Neville often reminded his students that desire itself is a gift from God. It's life seeking a fuller expression through you. If you desire wealth, it's because the divine within you wants to experience greater freedom, comfort, and beauty, not just for you, but for the good you can do with it. So instead of feeling guilty, honor your desire. Trust that it's guiding you to become more of who you truly are. Transforming fear into trust. Fear about wealth usually comes from a false idea. If I have more, I might lose it, or having more will make me greedy or change me. But when you build your wealth consciousness on love and integrity, you can trust yourself. Money won't change you. It will expand you. It will give you more resources to live your values. So replace fear with trust. Affirm, I can handle wealth with wisdom and grace. The more I have, the more I can bless others. I trust myself and the divine flow of abundance. From guilt to gratitude. The fastest way to dissolve guilt is to replace it with gratitude. Instead of feeling bad for wanting more, thank life for giving you the opportunity to grow. Thank money for the ways it already serves you. Thank your past for teaching you valuable lessons. Gratitude shifts your emotional state from heaviness to lightness. And in that lighter state, wealth flows more easily. A new wealth identity. When you release guilt and fear, you step into a new identity. You're no longer the person who feels torn between spirituality and wealth. You see them as one. You're no longer the person ashamed of past mistakes. You're wiser, freer, and more capable. You're no longer the person who doubts if they deserve luxury. You know you're worthy simply because you exist. Neville said, dare to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. The kingdom is not just spiritual. It includes the fullness of life, which can include wealth, beauty, and comfort. Wealth without guilt is true freedom. When you finally remove guilt and fear about money, you stop sabotaging yourself. You allow wealth to come and stay. You use it with love, wisdom, and purpose. Money no longer feels heavy. Luxury no longer feels too much. You understand it as a natural extension of the divine abundance flowing through you. You are free to have more, give more, and live more fully. Spiritual rest, wealth without struggle. Most people are conditioned to believe that money only comes through endless hard work, long hours, and constant sacrifice. From a young age, society teaches, if you want to succeed, you must hustle harder than everyone else. While discipline and action have their place, Neville Goddard revealed a deeper truth. Real wealth flows from consciousness, not from struggle. When you live from a state of already being wealthy in mind, life aligns itself effortlessly. The right ideas, opportunities, and connections seem to appear out of nowhere. This is what Neville referred to as entering the mental Sabbath, a state of spiritual rest where creation happens naturally, without force. In this segment, we'll explore how to let go of the belief that wealth requires endless effort, how to enter the Sabbath state where your desires are already fulfilled, and how to allow money and abundance to come through inspiration rather than struggle. Why the hard work equals wealth belief keeps you stuck. Think about how many people work incredibly hard yet remain broke. Long hours alone don't guarantee prosperity. If effort were the true cause of wealth, the hardest laborers in the world would be the richest. The truth is, effort without a corresponding wealth consciousness just creates more struggle. When your inner state says, money is hard to get, you unconsciously create situations that confirm that belief, no matter how much you do. On the other hand, there are people who seem to attract wealth with ease. They're not always working harder. They're working from a different state of mind. They expect money to come easily, and so it does. Neville explained this clearly. Stop trying to change the world. It is only a reflection. Change your conception of yourself, and the world will automatically change. So, the first step is to drop the old conditioning that says wealth must come through pain, sweat, and endless struggle. What is the spiritual Sabbath? In the Bible, the Sabbath was the day of rest after creation. Neville interpreted this symbolically. He said the Sabbath is the mental state you enter when you've finished the act of creation in imagination. When you've imagined your desire vividly and felt it as real, your work is done. You no longer try to make it happen through force. You rest in the knowing that it's already accomplished in the unseen. This doesn't mean you do nothing in life. It means you stop the frantic, fear-driven action and instead move from calm inspiration. You're no longer working to get wealth. You're working from a state of already being abundant. How to enter the mental Sabbath. Imagine the end result clearly. Pick a short, meaningful scene that implies your wealth is already real. Maybe a friend congratulating you or seeing your desired bank balance. Feel the reality of it. In your imagination, live in that moment fully. Feel the relief, gratitude, and joy of knowing it's done. Release the how. After impressing your subconscious, drop the need to control every step. Trust that life will orchestrate the perfect bridge of incidents to bring it to pass. Rest mentally. Refuse to worry or overthink. When doubts arise, gently return to the feeling that it's already accomplished. This is the Sabbath. It's not laziness. It's a deep inner rest from struggle. Wealth through inspiration, not force. When you live in this restful state, you still take action, but it's inspired, effortless, and often surprisingly easy. You get an idea, a nudge, or an invitation that leads to an opportunity. You're no longer forcing doors open. You're walking through the doors that naturally unlock. Think about the difference. Forced action, hustling, burning out, chasing opportunities from fear of missing out. Inspired action, acting from a calm knowing, following intuitive ideas, taking steps that feel natural and exciting. Neville described it like this. You do not make it happen. You allow it to happen. Creation is finished. All you do is select the state you wish to occupy. So, instead of pushing harder, you shift your state of consciousness, and the wealth begins to flow in ways you couldn't have planned. Why struggle actually blocks abundance? When you're constantly stressing about money, working yourself to exhaustion, or obsessively chasing results, you're vibrating in lack. You're basically saying to the universe, I don't have enough yet. I must force it. That state of desperation repels abundance. It blinds you to opportunities and drains your energy. But when you relax into the Sabbath state, you're sending a very different signal. I already am wealthy. Life always supports me. It is done. From that calm confidence, the right ideas and resources come without resistance. Practical steps to experience wealth without struggle. Pause before acting. When you feel the urge to take frantic action, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this from fear or from inspiration? Wait for clarity before moving. Daily restful visualization. Spend a few minutes morning and night imagining your life of wealth as already complete. Let the feeling of it settle into your body. Trust the process. When things don't appear immediately, resist the temptation to panic. Remember, the seed takes time to grow. Your only job is to hold the feeling steady. Simplify your effort. Drop the 10 different strategies you're juggling out of fear. Focus on the 1 or 2 actions that feel most aligned and meaningful. Practice stillness. Meditate, take quiet walks, or simply sit in silence. In stillness, you're more receptive to inspired ideas than when your mind is cluttered with how will this work. Real-life examples of spiritual rest in action. Neville shared the story of a man who was drowning in debt. Instead of panicking and working longer hours, he went inward. Each night before sleep, he imagined himself completely free, with all debts cleared. He entered the Sabbath state, mentally resting in the feeling that it was already done. Within weeks, unexpected opportunities appeared. A forgotten investment matured, and an old client repaid him a large sum. The debts were cleared without struggle. Another student imagined living in a beautiful new home. She didn't run from realtor to realtor in desperation. She simply stayed in the feeling of already living there. A friend later introduced her to someone who offered her a home in the exact style she had imagined, at a price she could easily afford. These examples show that resting in the wish fulfilled doesn't mean nothing happens. It means the right things happen without strain. Letting go of the earn it mentality. One of the biggest obstacles is the subconscious belief that you must earn everything through suffering. Many of us were taught that easy money is wrong, or if it comes too easily, it won't last. But look at nature. A tree doesn't struggle to grow. The sun doesn't force itself to shine. Life naturally expands and provides an effortless rhythm. You're part of that same rhythm. Wealth can come through ease, through alignment, through the flow of inspired action, not endless sacrifice. Affirm this truth. Wealth comes to me naturally as I rest in my true abundance. I no longer believe struggle is required. I allow ease. Life supports me effortlessly in all ways. Shifting from force to faith. When you trust that imagination is the real cause, you no longer feel the need to force outcomes. You move with faith instead of fear. Faith says, it is already done. I don't need to know how. Fear says, I must control everything, or it won't happen. Faith leads to inspired action. Fear leads to burnout. Neville reminded us, you are already that which you want to be. Your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. So the key is not more effort, it's deeper belief. What spiritual rest feels like. When you're truly in the Sabbath state, you feel calm. There's no rush, no anxiety. Certain, you know it's already yours, even if you can't see it yet. Light, you don't carry the heavy burden of how will it happen. Open, you're ready to receive ideas, nudges, and opportunities effortlessly. From this place, life feels more like a dance than a struggle. You're in harmony with the flow of abundance, living in wealth without struggle. When you master this art of spiritual rest, wealth no longer feels like a mountain to climb. It becomes a natural extension of your inner state. You stop chasing money. You stop burning out. You start receiving. It doesn't mean you never work. It means your work feels lighter, guided, and supported. You're no longer hustling from fear. You're creating from fullness. And that's when money, opportunities, and luxury show up in ways you never imagined. Divine ideas as channels of supply. When most people think of wealth, they immediately picture money, cash in hand, bank balances, or physical possessions. But Neville Goddard often reminded his students that wealth doesn't always come in the form of direct money. More often, it comes as an idea, a spark of inspiration that leads you to new opportunities, solutions, and channels of abundance. The truth is, every fortune begins with a thought. The biggest businesses, inventions, and financial breakthroughs in history started as a single idea in someone's imagination. That's why Neville emphasized the importance of quieting the mind, connecting to your inner wisdom, and allowing divine ideas to flow. In this segment, we'll explore why wealth is often an idea first, how to open yourself to inspired insights through meditation and reflection, and some of Neville's stories of students who received unexpected wealth through ideas rather than direct money. Wealth comes as an idea before it becomes reality. Think about it. Every product, service, or business that generates money came from someone's mind before it existed in the physical world. Apple began with an idea in Steve Jobs' imagination. The airplane was once just an idea in the Wright brothers' minds. Every book, song, or piece of art that created wealth started as an inner vision. So when you're asking for more wealth, you're really asking for new ideas, insights, and solutions that open the door to wealth. Neville explained it this way. Ideas are the beginning of all creation. Everything that exists was first imagined. When you dwell in the state of your wish fulfilled, you plant the seed of the idea that will grow into your reality. Instead of waiting for money to fall from the sky, You open your mind to receive the idea that leads to the supply. How divine ideas reach you. Divine ideas don't come from a busy, worried, overthinking mind. They come when you're relaxed, open, and receptive. That's why many great thinkers and creators say their best ideas came while they were taking a quiet walk, meditating, or sitting in stillness, just waking up or drifting off to sleep, relaxing in the shower or on vacation. When you silence the noise of constant worry, your subconscious mind, connected to infinite intelligence, can finally give you the solution. Neville often taught his students to enter a state akin to sleep, SATS, because it quiets the conscious mind. In this drowsy, meditative state, you become more receptive to intuitive nudges and flashes of inspiration. How to open yourself to wealth ideas. Here's a simple process to invite divine ideas. Set a clear intention. Before you meditate or reflect, set a clear intention. For example, I now open myself to the perfect idea that leads to my financial abundance. Enter a quiet state. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let your body relax. Silence the inner chatter. Ask and release. Mentally ask, what idea will lead me to the wealth I desire? Then release the question. Don't try to force an answer. Just remain open. Listen and feel. Pay attention to subtle nudges, inner pictures, or feelings that arise. Sometimes the answer comes instantly, sometimes later during an unrelated moment. Act on gentle nudges. When you get a small idea, an urge to call someone, start a new project, or research something, follow it. That's how divine guidance unfolds step by step. Neville's story of wealth through an idea. Neville shared the story of a man in financial trouble who used imagination to solve his problem. Instead of worrying, he went inward each night, imagining himself happily telling a friend, "Isn't it wonderful? I have all the money I need." Within days, the man got a sudden idea to visit an old acquaintance he hadn't seen in years. He followed the nudge, and that meeting opened a business opportunity that cleared his debts and brought in steady income. The money didn't appear out of thin air, but the idea to meet that person was the bridge to his supply. Another example, the hidden opportunity. Another student of Neville imagined herself living in financial ease. She didn't know how it would happen, but she trusted the feeling. One morning, during a quiet meditation, she suddenly thought of a skill she had forgotten: design work. An idea came to offer her services online. Within weeks, she had clients, and her income grew beyond what she ever imagined. Notice that the idea was already within her, but it needed the stillness and belief to surface. Meditation as a gateway to inspiration. Quiet reflection or meditation is powerful because it silences the mental noise that blocks intuitive guidance, connects you to the field of infinite ideas, helps you receive solutions with clarity instead of confusion. Neville often said imagination and feeling are the creative forces. When you meditate, you naturally shift from worry to calmness, making it easier to imagine your life of wealth with emotional conviction. And from that state, the right ideas flow more easily. Try this simple meditation tonight. Sit or lie down comfortably. Breathe deeply and let all tension melt away. Imagine yourself already financially free. Feel the gratitude and peace of that state. Silently affirm, "The perfect idea for my wealth is now revealed to me." Relax completely and trust that the idea will come. Maybe in the moment, maybe later. Ideas often come in ordinary moments. Don't expect divine ideas to always come as a big, dramatic aha moment. Sometimes they arrive as a soft whisper or a casual thought. For example, you might suddenly think of someone you should reconnect with. You might notice a small problem in your community and realize you can solve it. You might feel a quiet urge to learn something new, which later becomes a profitable skill. Wealth rarely falls into your lap randomly. It comes through the doorway of an idea. Affirmations to open the channel of ideas. Use these daily to keep your mind receptive. I am open to divine ideas that bring wealth and freedom. Inspiration flows to me easily and effortlessly. Every day, I receive the perfect ideas that lead to abundance. The more you affirm and feel this truth, the more your subconscious stays alert for opportunities. Why most people miss wealth ideas? Most people are too busy worrying, complaining, or doubting to hear the quiet voice of inspiration. They're looking only for quick cash instead of recognizing that an idea is the seed that grows into abundance. When you slow down and trust your inner guidance, you begin to notice the small clues life is constantly giving you. Neville called these bridges of incidents, the subtle steps that unfold after you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Wealth as an unfolding process. Remember, wealth doesn't always appear instantly. It unfolds like a story. First, you imagine and feel your desired life. Then, an idea or nudge appears. You act on it with faith. One thing leads to another, and the path to abundance becomes clear. Try to skip the idea, and just demand money keeps you stuck. But when you welcome the idea, you welcome the channel through which the money flows. Neville's key reminder. Neville said, "Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. Everything flows from imagination. Your inner state creates the idea. The idea creates the opportunity. The opportunity creates the wealth. It all begins in consciousness. Take time to listen. So, take time each day to quiet your mind. Even 10 minutes of stillness can unlock ideas you've been too busy to hear. Trust the small nudges. Don't dismiss them because they seem simple. Often, the simplest idea becomes the most profitable. Remember, money is just the result. The real supply is the idea that leads you to it. If you found this insight valuable, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more teachings on aligning with abundance and living from your highest state of consciousness. Timing and the bridge of incidents. One of the most misunderstood aspects of manifestation is timing. When you imagine and feel your desire as real, you naturally expect it to show up immediately. But Neville Goddard taught that while creation is already finished in the unseen, the physical world often requires a series of steps, what he called the bridge of incidents, to bring your desire into tangible form. This bridge is life's way of rearranging itself to fulfill your assumption. It's a chain of events, people, and opportunities that unfold in a natural, yet often unpredictable way. In this segment, we'll explore how life organizes itself after you've assumed your desired state, why trusting the timing is essential, and how to recognize the subtle signs that your shift is already in motion, even before the full manifestation appears. Creation is instant in the invisible, gradual in the visible. Neville explained that the moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it is done in the spiritual sense. But the physical world still has to rearrange itself. This rearrangement may involve other people, circumstances, and resources lining up to deliver your desire in the best possible way. Think of it like planting a seed. The moment you plant it, the process of growth begins instantly. But you don't see the fruit the next day. There's an unseen period of adjustment. Roots are forming underground before anything is visible above. Likewise, when you shift your consciousness to wealth, love, or success, the roots of your new reality are already forming. Even if you can't see evidence yet, it's unfolding behind the scenes. The bridge of incidents explained. Neville described the bridge of incidents as the series of events that naturally lead you to your desire without you having to force anything. It may include unexpected meetings, sudden ideas, delays that redirect you, or even situations that seem negative at first but are actually helping the manifestation align perfectly. He said, "Remain faithful to your assumption, and it will harden into fact. Don't be concerned with how it will happen. The bridge of incidents will unfold naturally. For example, if you assume wealth, you may suddenly get an idea for a new opportunity, meet someone who connects you to the right people, or be led to a book or resource that shifts your financial mindset. If you assume a better living situation, you may first experience a reason to move out of your current place, which feels inconvenient, but actually pushes you toward the dream home waiting for you. The bridge is often not a straight, predictable line. It's life reorganizing itself in the best way to fulfill your new state. Trusting the unfolding without panic or impatience. Most people block their manifestation because they panic during the waiting period. They assume it's not working. Nothing is happening. Maybe I did it wrong. But the bridge of incidents is like a story. It takes time to unfold. The universe doesn't work through panic. It works through perfect timing. Think of baking a cake. Once you prepared the ingredients and placed it in the oven, you don't keep opening the door every 2 minutes, worrying if it's baking. You trust the process and let the timing do its work. In the same way, once you've imagined your wealth, love, or success is real, your only job is to stay in the state of faith. Keep living as if it's already done, without obsessing over the how or when. Neville often reassured his students, if you remain loyal to the unseen reality, the world will conform to it. You need not lift a finger beyond living in the state, recognizing small signs that your shift is working. Even before the full manifestation arrives, you'll often see small hints, signs that the bridge is in motion. These can include inner shifts in emotion. You start feeling calmer and more secure, even without external proof. This inner peace is the first evidence of alignment. Synchronicities and coincidences. You begin noticing meaningful coincidences, meeting the right people, overhearing conversations that inspire you, seeing symbols of your desire everywhere. Opportunities you didn't expect. Suddenly, someone offers help, a new project appears, or a problem turns into an opening for growth. Situations that push you to move. Sometimes, the bridge includes what looks like temporary setbacks, like losing a job or a plan falling through, only to lead you to something far better than you imagined. Ideas and intuitive nudges. You feel guided to take small steps that, in hindsight, become the exact moves needed for the manifestation. When you notice these subtle shifts, take them as encouragement that your assumption is already reshaping reality. Why the bridge may feel uncomfortable at first. Neville also warned that the bridge of incidents might not always feel pleasant. Sometimes the old state has to die for the new one to fully express. For example, if you're manifesting a better job, you might first lose the old one. If you're manifesting wealth, you might experience a shake-up in your current financial patterns to create space for new income streams. This doesn't mean the manifestation is failing. It means the old reality is dissolving so the new one can take its place. Trust that even what looks like a setback is actually part of the rearrangement toward your desired outcome. How to stay patient and faithful during the bridge. Stop obsessing over time. Avoid counting the days or constantly checking for results. Creation is already finished. You're just walking the bridge. Keep living from the end. Each day, return to the feeling of already having your desire. Remind yourself, it is done. I'm just watching it unfold. Celebrate small progress. When you see little signs or coincidences, acknowledge them as proof that the bridge is unfolding. Resist doubt and old stories. When fear creeps in, gently replace it with the truth. This is part of the bridge. I trust the process. Detach from the how. Don't try to figure out every step. Let life surprise you with the most effortless and perfect way. Neville's story of timing and a bridge. Neville told the story of a woman who desired to live in a specific apartment building. Every unit was full, and the waiting list was long. Instead of worrying, she simply imagined herself living there and felt the joy of it. Weeks later, someone unexpectedly moved out early, freeing a unit for her. What looked like a coincidence was actually the bridge of incidents rearranging people and circumstances to fulfill her assumption. Another example of the bridge at work. A man imagined receiving a large sum of money. A few days later, he lost his job. At first, it seemed like the opposite of what he wanted. But losing that job freed him to take an even better opportunity that paid far more. From his limited view, the bridge looked like failure at first, but it was actually the exact step needed to reach the desired outcome. This shows why you must trust even the unexpected turns. Timing is always perfect. Even if it feels late, the timing of your bridge is always precise. Sometimes delays happen because the path that's unfolding is better than the one you imagined. Certain people or resources need to align first. You need to fully shift your inner state before the outer can match it. Remember, Neville said, you do nothing to make it come to pass. Creation is finished. What you do is move to the state that would be yours if you already had your desire, and remain there. So, your focus isn't on time. It's on maintaining the state of already having what you want, living in peace while the bridge unfolds. When you truly understand the bridge of incidents, you stop panicking. You stop rushing. You stop questioning if it's working. Instead, you live each day calmly, knowing your new reality is inevitable. Take action when inspired, not out of fear. Watch life rearrange itself with curiosity instead of anxiety. And then, often when you least expect it, the full manifestation appears, sometimes in a way even better than what you first imagined. The bridge is proof of your power. The moment you assumed your desire, the end was guaranteed. The bridge is simply the middle part of the story, the way the universe aligns everything to match your new state. So trust it. Be patient. Notice the signs. Stay faithful to your inner vision. Because when you hold the end in your mind, life will always find the perfect way to bring it to you. Loving what you seek. One of the deepest truths about manifesting abundance, wealth, or any desire is this. You cannot attract what you secretly resent, fear, or reject. Many people unknowingly push away what they want because their relationship with it is rooted in negativity. They say they want money, but also believe money is the root of evil. They desire wealth, but feel unworthy of it. They want success, but secretly envy or judge those who already have it. Neville Goddard often reminded his students that everything begins with consciousness. If you hold feelings of fear, guilt, or resentment toward money or abundance, you're planting seeds of resistance in your inner world. To truly receive, you must first love what you seek. When you love something, you open yourself to it. Love dissolves fear. Love removes the sense of separation. Love aligns you with the very vibration of your desire. In this segment, we'll explore how loving money as energy shifts your frequency, why blessing other people's success opens the door for your own, and how to dissolve resistance through genuine appreciation. Why love dissolves resistance and fear. Fear and love cannot exist in the same space. Fear creates a wall, a blockage, a subtle, repelling energy. Love, on the other hand, draws things closer. When you desire wealth but feel guilty about it, you create an inner conflict. Part of you says, I want this, while another part whispers, but it's wrong, selfish, or too hard. That contradiction creates resistance. Love heals that contradiction. When you see money not as something to fear, but as a neutral tool, a form of energy that can create freedom, comfort, and opportunities, you stop pushing it away. Neville explained this principle through consciousness. You cannot attach to what you do not love. Love is the magnet. Love for the thing desired unites you with it in consciousness. So if you want money, wealth, or success, you must stop seeing it as something out there that's separate from you. You begin by loving it, appreciating it, and seeing it as something good and natural. Loving money as energy, not as an idol. Here's the key. Loving money doesn't mean worshiping it or becoming obsessed. It means seeing it as a supportive, neutral energy that flows through life. Money itself is neither good nor bad. It simply reflects the consciousness of the one who uses it. In the hands of a fearful person, it might create greed or anxiety. In the hands of a loving person, it can create generosity, opportunity, and impact. When you love money in a healthy way, you stop fearing that it will leave you. Stop resenting those who have it. Stop believing it's dirty or selfish to want more. Instead, you see money as a natural part of life's flow, like water. When water flows freely, it nourishes everything. When blocked, it stagnates. Money is the same. It's meant to circulate, grow, and support. You might even affirm, money is simply energy, and I love the freedom it allows. I'm grateful for money because it helps me live and give more fully. Blessing other people's success as a magnet for your own. A powerful way to open yourself to abundance is to bless and celebrate the success of others. Many people unknowingly block their own prosperity by feeling jealous or resentful when they see someone else thriving. They think, why them? Why not me? That envy sends a message to the subconscious that success is scarce, that if others have it, there's less for you. But the universe is abundant. When you genuinely feel happy for someone else's wealth or success, you're telling your mind, this is possible for me too. I'm aligned with this energy. Instead of resenting the person driving the luxury car or living in the beautiful home, bless them silently. Say to yourself, I'm so happy for their success. May it multiply for them and for me too. This simple shift changes your frequency from lack to love. It dissolves envy, which is really just fear of scarcity. And as you bless others, you're planting seeds of your own abundance. Neville echoed this principle when he said, what you do not wish for yourself, do not wish for another. The feeling you bring to others returns to you multiplied. How to practice loving what you seek. Here are simple ways to infuse love into your relationship with money and abundance. Speak kindly about money. Stop saying things like, money is hard to get, or I'll never afford that. Instead, speak of money as a helpful, supportive friend. Express gratitude for what you have now. Even if it's small, appreciate the money that flows into your life today. Gratitude multiplies what you love. Visualize money with positive emotion. When you imagine wealth, don't focus on desperation or need. Focus on the joy, freedom, and peace it brings. Bless every transaction. When you spend or receive money, silently say, thank you. This money circulates back to me multiplied. Celebrate others' abundance. Anytime you see someone succeeding, affirm silently. What's possible for them is possible for me. I'm happy for their good fortune. Releasing old beliefs around money. To truly love money as energy, you also need to release the negative programming you may have inherited from family, culture, or society, where you taught things like, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, you have to struggle to be worthy of money. These beliefs create unconscious resistance. They make you feel undeserving or conflicted about wealth. Take a moment to reflect on your earliest money memories. Did you hear arguments about it? Did you see people lose it and suffer? Did you grow up believing it was scarce? Acknowledge these old stories and remind yourself. That was their belief, but it's not the ultimate truth. Money is abundant and meant to flow to me easily. By replacing old fear-based beliefs with loving truths, you clear the path for abundance. Neville's reminder, love is union. Neville often emphasized that love is the secret to manifesting anything. He said, love is the union with the desired state. You cannot be separated from what you love. To desire a state is to have it. When you truly love and accept money as a natural part of your life, you're no longer separated from it in consciousness. It stops being something over there that you're chasing. It becomes something that already belongs to you in feeling, and therefore must appear in form. Real life shift through loving money. Consider the story of a woman who always felt anxious about finances. She grew up hearing her parents say, "We can't afford it," and believed money was always scarce. When she discovered Neville's teachings, she realized her fear of money was pushing it away. She began a daily practice of blessing every dollar she had, even if it was small. She imagined money flowing and easily and lovingly affirmed, "I love money, and it loves me." Within months, her relationship with money shifted. Unexpectedly, she was offered a higher paying position and also received a financial gift from a relative. The change wasn't magic. It was her new loving state of consciousness that opened the channel. Love creates openness. Fear creates walls. Fear says, money is scarce. It's hard. It might leave me. Love says, money is abundant. It flows easily. It supports me. Fear creates walls of resistance. Love opens doors. Fear keeps you focused on what's missing. Love keeps you focused on what's already possible. And since your outer world reflects your inner state, the more love you cultivate toward wealth, the more wealth naturally reflects back to you. Affirmations to cultivate love for abundance. You can use these daily to shift your inner vibration. I deeply appreciate and welcome money into my life. I'm grateful for the money I have now and the money that is coming. I bless the wealth and success of others, knowing it multiplies for all. Money is energy that flows freely to me and through me. Say them slowly, with feeling, allowing the words to sink in and dissolve old fears. Becoming a magnet through love. When you love what you seek, whether it's money, a relationship, or a new lifestyle, you create a powerful magnetic pull. You stop resisting. You stop envying. You stop seeing it as separate. You move into harmony with it. And because love is union, your desire has no choice but to flow into your life. Neville reminded us that love is the highest creative power. Love is the truth that unites you with your desire. When you love the state you seek, you are already in it. So start today. Love the idea of wealth. Love the money you have now. Love the people who are abundant. Knowing their success is proof that more is possible for you too. As you do, you'll find that what once felt distant begins to move closer, until one day, it's simply your reality, living beyond the appearances of lack. One of the greatest challenges on the journey of creating abundance is learning to see beyond what appears to be true right now. When your bank account is low, when bills pile up, when opportunities seem scarce, it's easy to get trapped in the belief that this is all there is. But Neville Goddard reminded his students again and again, the outer world is only a shadow of your inner state. It reflects what you previously believed and assumed to be true. And because it's the past in motion, it can be changed by altering your current state of consciousness. In this segment, we'll explore why you must not be fooled by temporary facts, how to see abundance even when appearances say otherwise, and why Neville urged us to dare to believe in what you do not see. Why temporary facts are not the final truth. When you look at your current life, your bank account, your job, your living situation, you're looking at the result of past thinking and feeling. It's like looking at the light from a distant star. It left the star long ago and only now reaches your eyes. Neville put it simply, the present moment is not final. It is only the outpictured image of a past assumption. Change the assumption, and the picture will change. This means that what you see now is not permanent. It is only a temporary reflection of an older state of consciousness. The moment you shift your inner state, the future begins to rearrange itself to match it. But here's the trap. Most people see lack and believe it's the truth. They react to the bank balance, the unpaid bills, the empty calendar. And by reacting with fear, they keep recreating the same state, trapping themselves in a cycle of lack. To break that cycle, you must refuse to be hypnotized by appearances, seeing abundance beyond the numbers. How do you see abundance when your bank account says otherwise? You do it through imagination and faith. When you look at an empty wallet, instead of saying, I have nothing, you close your eyes and see it full of money. When you open your bank app and the balance is low, you imagine the numbers you truly desire. Neville taught that the subconscious doesn't distinguish between what's physically present and what's vividly imagined. It accepts what you feel to be true. So even if the outer facts scream lack, you choose to feel rich inside. You tell yourself, this is only the old story playing out. My new reality is already unfolding. I live in abundance now. My wealth is inevitable. This doesn't mean denying reality in a delusional way. It means acknowledging the fact, but refusing to accept it as final. Why Neville said, dare to believe in what you do not see. Faith, according to Neville, is not hoping for something. It's the confident knowing that it already exists in the unseen. He said, "Dare to believe in what you do not see, and you will see it. The world will mirror your inner conviction. When you dare to believe in wealth while still seeing lack, you are planting the seed of a new reality. Most people won't do this. They only believe what their senses confirm. But your senses only show you what you previously believed. It takes courage to stand in the middle of a challenging situation and feel the truth of your new state. But that's exactly how you shift timelines. Practical example, living beyond appearances. Imagine your rent is due, but you don't yet have the money. The facts are real, but they're temporary. You have two choices: react with fear, stress, and self-pity, which keeps you in the state of lack. Take a deep breath, go inward, and imagine the landlord smiling, thanking you for the payment you've already made. Feel the relief of knowing it's handled. The second choice doesn't magically print money on the spot, but it changes you, your vibration, your state of being. And from that state, ideas, opportunities, or unexpected help can appear. Neville shared many stories of students who, despite appearances, imagined the outcome they wanted and watched life rearrange itself in surprising ways. The mirror analogy. Think of your outer world like a mirror. If you frown at the mirror, the reflection frowns back. If you smile, it smiles back. But if you want the reflection to change, you can't reach into the mirror and force it. You have to change yourself first. The same is true for life. If you want more money, more freedom, more abundance, you don't fight with the current reflection, the lack. You go inward, shift your inner state, and the reflection must change. How to stay unmoved by lack. Here are some practical ways to keep your faith steady when appearances try to shake you. Pause before reacting. When fear rises because of a bill or a low balance, pause. Remind yourself, this is just the old story. It's already changing. Return to the end scene. Close your eyes and feel the outcome you desire as if it's already done. Repeat it until the fear subsides. Speak the truth you choose. Instead of saying, "I'm broke," say, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. I am supported." Detach from the how. You don't need to know how it will happen. Trust that the bridge of incidents is already unfolding. Surround yourself with abundance energy. Look for symbols of wealth. Nature's abundance, success stories, gratitude for what you already have. Shift your focus away from what's missing. Inner wealth first, outer wealth follows. Neville emphasized that you cannot create a new life from the same state of lack that produced the old one. You must first feel rich within yourself, even if only for a few moments each day. When you cultivate inner wealth, you're aligning with the consciousness of someone who already has what they desire. And because the outer world reflects your inner world, life eventually must mirror that new state. This is why people who practice gratitude, even in tough times, often experience unexpected breakthroughs. By appreciating what's already present, they're stepping into the vibration of abundance rather than feeding the energy of lack. Real-life example of seeing beyond facts. Neville once shared the story of a man who was heavily in debt. Instead of panicking, he imagined himself debt-free, holding a letter from the bank that confirmed his balance was clear. Every night, he fell asleep in that feeling. Days later, through a completely unforeseen chain of events, an unexpected inheritance from a distant relative, his debt was wiped out. Did he know how it would happen? No. Did he panic over the current facts? No. He chose to live in the unseen reality until it became seen. Affirmations to live beyond lack. Here are powerful truths to repeat when appearances tempt you to doubt. This is only a temporary picture. My abundance is already here. I'm the source of wealth. The outer world is catching up to my inner state. I dare to believe in what I do not see, knowing it must appear. I live in the feeling of plenty, regardless of current facts. Say these calmly, especially when fear tries to take over. Choosing faith over facts. It's easy to have faith when things look good. True faith is choosing to believe in abundance when your senses say otherwise. Neville called this the great secret of creation. To be unmoved by the evidence of the senses is to be free. Dare to believe in the reality of your unseen assumption, and it will objectify itself. So when you face temporary lack, don't give it power by reacting with fear. See it for what it is, a fading echo of your old state. Hold firm to your new inner vision, and life will catch up. Living in the end, not the middle. The middle, the current facts, the obstacles, the waiting period can feel confusing. But Neville taught to ignore the middle and live in the end. Ask yourself, if I already had the money, the freedom, the success, how would I feel? How would I think? How would I walk through life? Then choose to feel that now, even for just a few minutes. That feeling is the seed that will grow into the new reflection. Your reality is malleable. Never forget, the world you see is not fixed. It is clay in your hands, shaped by the assumptions you hold. Lack is not permanent unless you keep feeding it. When you dare to believe beyond appearances, you're no longer trapped by what seems real. You live from the deeper truth that your inner state creates your outer world. And from that place, abundance becomes not just a possibility, but an inevitability. Self-identity, becoming the person who thrives. At the heart of every financial transformation, every shift from lack to abundance, lies one essential truth. You cannot outperform the identity you hold about yourself. No matter how many affirmations you speak, how many opportunities you chase, or how hard you work, if deep down you see yourself as someone who always struggles, that inner identity will sabotage every attempt to change. Neville Goddard emphasized this principle again and again. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. So if you truly want to thrive, you must first become the version of yourself who naturally lives in wealth, freedom, and abundance. Not in the future, not someday, but right now in consciousness. This segment is about how to let go of the poor self-concept, how to drop the identity of someone who always struggles, and how to build a natural self-image of a person who thrives effortlessly. Why self-identity shapes your reality. Your identity is the invisible blueprint of your life. It's the deep, often unspoken belief of "this is who I am." If you secretly believe, "I'm the type of person who never has enough," you'll unconsciously make choices that keep you in lack. If you believe, "I'm just not good with money," you'll ignore opportunities or mishandle resources even when they arrive. If you believe, "I'm not worthy of wealth," you'll find ways to self-sabotage whenever success comes close. Why? Because the subconscious mind always seeks to keep life consistent with your self-concept. It will bend reality to match who you believe you are. So, if you want to live richly, you must first become rich in identity, seeing yourself as someone who naturally thrives, someone for whom abundance is normal. Dropping the identity of struggle. Many people carry the unconscious identity of someone who always struggles. It comes from years of conditioning. Growing up hearing money is hard to get, watching family members live in survival mode, or experiencing repeated financial hardships. Over time, this struggle identity feels familiar. Even if it's painful, it feels safe because it's what you know. But here's the truth. Your past does not define your potential. Just because you've struggled before doesn't mean you must continue struggling. To drop the old identity, you first have to notice it. Pay attention to the phrases you say about yourself, even jokingly. "I'm always broke. I can't afford that. I just have bad luck with money." Each time you say these things, you reinforce the identity of lack. Instead, you begin telling a new story about yourself, even if it doesn't feel true yet, creating a new self-concept. Neville taught that you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, which includes assuming the identity of the person who already has what they desire. Ask yourself, if I were already financially free, how would I think about myself? If I were someone who thrives in every area of life, how would I talk? How would I walk? How would I make decisions? If wealth was natural for me, what kind of energy would I carry? Then begin practicing that now. This doesn't mean pretending or forcing. It means gently stepping into the version of yourself who already has the life you want. Imagining from the identity of abundance. Neville shared that when you imagine, don't imagine looking at yourself as rich. Imagine from the perspective of being rich. For example, instead of imagining yourself wishing for wealth, imagine yourself already wealthy, feeling calm and free. Instead of imagining yourself struggling to pay bills, imagine yourself confidently writing checks, knowing there's more than enough. When you persist in this inner self-image, your subconscious accepts it as the new truth, and life begins to reflect it. Why a thriving self-image feels effortless. Think of it like this. If you see yourself as someone who is fit and healthy, you naturally make choices that align with that identity. You don't have to force yourself to eat better. It just feels normal. The same is true with money. When you see yourself as someone who thrives financially, you'll naturally notice opportunities others overlook, attract supportive people and resources, handle money wisely without fear or guilt, carry yourself with a calm confidence that draws abundance. It becomes effortless because you're simply living from who you believe you are, letting go of guilt and unworthiness. One of the biggest blocks to thriving is the hidden feeling of "I'm not worthy of wealth." This belief often comes from childhood or cultural conditioning. Maybe you were taught that wanting money is greedy, or you grew up seeing people fight over it, or you absorbed the idea that good people should be humble and poor. But wealth itself is neutral. It's simply a tool that amplifies who you already are. If you're a kind, generous person, more money allows you to create even more good. So release the guilt. Remind yourself, "I am worthy of living well. Thriving is my natural state." There is nothing selfish about receiving abundance. When you accept that you deserve to thrive simply because you exist, you open the door for life to support you. Practical ways to build a thriving self-identity. Speak from your new identity. Stop saying, "I'm broke" or "I'm unlucky." Start saying, "I'm someone who always finds a way. Money flows easily to me." Visualize your thriving self daily. Spend a few quiet minutes each morning imagining yourself already living the life you desire. Feel it as normal. Dress and move with confidence. You don't need expensive clothes. Just carry yourself like someone who respects themselves and their life. Surround yourself with abundance energy. Spend time with people who inspire you. Read stories of those who transform their lives. Fill your mind with possibility. Celebrate small wins. Each time money comes in, even in small amounts, acknowledge it with gratitude. It reinforces the identity of someone who always receives. Neville's example of identity shift. Neville told the story of a man who wanted a promotion at work. Instead of begging or worrying, he assumed the identity of the man who already held the new position. He walked, talked, and carried himself as if it was already his. Within weeks, the position was given to him. Not because he forced it, but because he had already become the version of himself who naturally belonged in that role. Your outer world always mirrors your inner self-concept. What does a thriving identity feel like? A thriving self-image doesn't feel anxious about money. It feels calm and assured. It doesn't worry if money will come. It trusts that it always does. It doesn't shrink in fear when challenges appear. It knows solutions will show up. It doesn't compare or envy others. It understands abundance is infinite. Thriving feels like peace, confidence, and freedom in your body, even before the outer world catches up. From trying to be rich to being the person who is rich. There's a big difference between trying to get rich and simply being the kind of person who is naturally wealthy. Trying comes from a place of lack. It says, "I don't have it yet, so I must chase it." Being comes from identity. It says, "This is who I am," and life reflects it. When you become the person who thrives in your mind and feelings first, you stop chasing. You start attracting. Affirmations to solidify a thriving self-identity. Use these daily to reprogram your inner self-concept. I'm the kind of person who always thrives. Wealth and success are natural to me. I am no longer someone who struggles. I am someone who receives with ease. I embody abundance in my thoughts, feelings, and actions. Say them slowly, feeling the truth of the words sink into your subconscious. Thriving is your natural state. Remember, you weren't born believing you were meant to struggle. That belief was learned, and what is learned can be unlearned. Beneath the layers of fear and limitation, your true nature is abundance. When you drop the old identity of the struggler and step into the self-image of someone who thrives, life has no choice but to rearrange itself. Because in the end, you don't manifest what you want. You manifest who you believe you are. So decide today, I'm no longer the one who barely survives. I'm the one who thrives. Abundance is my identity, and it is normal for me to live richly in every way. Wealth through spiritual circulation. One of the most misunderstood truths about money is this. Wealth grows through circulation, not hoarding. Many people live in fear of spending or giving because they believe money is limited. They hold on to it tightly, thinking that saving every penny will keep them safe. But energetically, that fear creates stagnation. It's like holding your breath. You can't receive more air until you release what you're holding. Neville Goddard, along with many other spiritual teachers, spoke of wealth as an energy that must flow. When you give, share, and allow money to move, you affirm your trust in abundance. And in return, life multiplies it back to you in unexpected ways. This segment will help you understand why giving multiplies money, how to release the fear of loss by trusting the flow, and we'll look at real stories of people who gain more after freely giving. Why giving and circulating money multiplies it. Money, at its core, is energy. It's a tool of exchange, a symbol of value. Just like water, it's meant to move. When water is blocked, it stagnates and becomes toxic. When it flows, it stays fresh and nourishes everything around it. The same happens with money. When you cling to it in fear, believing it's scarce, you send a signal of lack. You're telling your subconscious and the universe, I don't trust that more will come. I must hold tightly to this little I have. That vibration attracts more experiences of scarcity. But when you give, whether it's paying someone generously, helping a friend, donating to a cause, or simply tipping someone with a grateful heart, you're affirming, there's more where that came from. I live in an abundant flow. That feeling of openness and trust aligns you with the frequency of abundance, and life responds in kind. This principle is why you'll often hear the saying, what you give comes back multiplied. It's not a moral rule. It's an energetic law. When you circulate money with love, it expands. not because of magic, but because you've shifted into the consciousness of someone who always has enough. Releasing the fear of loss. The fear of giving money away often comes from a deeply ingrained scarcity mindset. Maybe you grew up hearing things like, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to hold on to what you have, or you'll lose it. We can't afford to be generous. This conditioning makes you believe money is finite and difficult to replace. But in reality, money is simply an expression of the infinite ideas, creativity, and opportunities that flow through life. When you release a little, you're creating space for more to return. Neville hinted at this when he said, "You will never outgive God. What you freely give in consciousness, you must receive in form." Trusting this flow doesn't mean being reckless. It means spending, giving, and circulating money with the feeling of security instead of fear. The key is your attitude. If you give with resentment or a sense of obligation, you're reinforcing lack. But if you give with joy and gratitude, you're affirming that you're already abundant. Circulation versus hoarding. Hoarding comes from a belief that there's not enough. It creates a stagnant energy around money. Even if you have savings, if your mindset is, "I can't touch this because it's all I'll ever have," you're living in fear, not abundance. Circulation, on the other hand, says, "I trust that more will flow to me." Money is always moving, always replenishing itself. When you buy something you enjoy, when you pay for service with gratitude, when you donate to someone in need, you're keeping the energy of money alive. You're saying, "I'm a channel for abundance and I trust the flow." How giving creates inner wealth. Generosity has a profound psychological and spiritual effect. When you give, you expand your sense of self. You no longer see yourself as someone small, powerless, or limited. You feel like someone who has more than enough to share. That feeling alone shifts your vibration. You're no longer in the mindset of lack. You're in the mindset of overflow. And because the outer world mirrors your inner state, life brings you more experiences that match that feeling of overflow. Stories of people who gain more by giving. Neville often shared the story of a woman who was struggling financially. She felt stuck in a cycle of fear around money. One day, she decided to try a new approach. She took a small amount, just a few dollars, and gave it joyfully to someone in need. In that moment, she felt rich, not because of the amount, but because she realized she still had something to give. That feeling of wealth shifted her inner state. Within days, unexpected opportunities began showing up. A friend repaid a long-forgotten debt. She received a small bonus at work. More and more, money began flowing again, not because of the act alone, but because of the consciousness she stepped into. Another example comes from a businessman who was afraid of losing clients during a difficult season. Instead of cutting back, he chose to donate a portion of his income to a cause he believed in. Within weeks, he signed 2 new clients who brought in more than he had given away. These stories aren't about the amount. They're about the energy behind the giving. Simple ways to practice spiritual circulation. Give a little with love. It doesn't have to be big. Even giving a small tip with genuine gratitude carries powerful energy. Bless your payments. When you pay bills, instead of feeling drained, say, "I'm grateful for the service this provides, and I know more money is coming to me." Support other success. Buy from small businesses, share opportunities, and celebrate others' wins. This creates a cycle of abundance. Donate without fear. Choose a cause that speaks to your heart and give, even if it's a small amount. It shifts your mindset from "I don't have enough" to "I always have something to share." Circulation aligns you with infinite supply. When you trust the flow of money, you're aligning with the truth that supply is infinite. You're no longer trying to hold onto a small piece of the pie. You're realizing there's always another pie, another opportunity, another channel. Neville once said that when you live in the feeling of abundance, you stop seeing money as your source. You understand that your true source is the infinite imagination of life itself. Money is simply one of many ways abundance shows up. Affirmations for spiritual circulation. You can use these affirmations to reprogram your relationship with giving and receiving. Money flows freely through me, and it returns multiplied. I trust the endless circulation of abundance. What I give with love comes back to me in even greater ways. I release fear of loss. I live in the flow of prosperity. Say them whenever you feel fear or hesitation about spending or giving. A shift from ownership to stewardship. When you see yourself not as someone who owns money, but as someone who is a steward of it, your relationship changes. Money is no longer something you cling to. It's something you manage wisely, allowing it to move through you for the highest good. When you adopt this mindset, you stop fearing loss because you understand you're connected to an endless source. The more you circulate, the more life replenishes you. Your fearless trust opens new channels. Perhaps the greatest gift of practicing spiritual circulation is the inner freedom it creates. You stop obsessing over holding on to every dollar, and instead, you live in trust. And that trust opens new channels. It allows unexpected ideas, people, and opportunities to flow in ways you could never predict. As Neville said, you will never be in need if you live by this principle. Give from the feeling of wealth, and you will never lack. Giving is proof of abundance. When you give, even a little, you're sending a message to yourself and the universe. I have more than enough. And because your life reflects who you believe you are, you begin to experience more proof of that statement. So start small. Give with love. Circulate your money without fear. Watch how it comes back to you in unexpected, multiplied ways. Because abundance is not about how much you hold. It's about how freely it flows. The unexpected ways luxury appears. One of the most liberating truths about abundance is that it rarely arrives the way you expect. Most people limit themselves by believing wealth must come through only one channel, like their job, their business, or a specific investment. But when you fixate on only one path, you're unknowingly closing the door to the infinite ways life can deliver. Neville Goddard often reminded his students, no opportunity is ever lost. If you miss one, another will be given to you. He also said that your desire is already fulfilled in the unseen, and the how is not your concern. Your only work is to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled and stay open to the bridge of incidents life creates. In this segment, we'll explore how wealth often appears through unexpected channels, how to stay open to surprise forms of abundance, and why no opportunity is ever truly lost. Wealth has infinite pathways. Think of money and luxury as rivers flowing through the world. There are countless rivers, streams, and hidden channels. Your job isn't to figure out which one will reach you. It's to stand in the vibration of abundance so that the waters naturally find their way to you. When you believe, money can only come from my salary, or I must work harder to earn more, you're closing off all other possible paths. But when you affirm, I am open to receiving from expected and unexpected sources, you open the floodgates. Suddenly, opportunities you didn't plan for begin to appear. Someone recommends you for a position or project you never considered. An old friend reaches out with an offer that benefits you both. You discover a forgotten asset, refund, or resource. Creative ideas come to you seemingly out of nowhere. This isn't coincidence. It's your inner state drawing the outer reflection. Why you don't need to know how. One of Neville's most repeated teachings was, you do not need to know how it will come. You only need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Most people block their manifestations because they obsess over the how. They imagine a desire and immediately think, but how will this happen? I don't see the way. But the how belongs to life itself. It's handled by what Neville called the bridge of incidents, the natural chain of events that unfolds to bring you what you've already accepted in consciousness. When you live in the end result, already feeling wealthy, free, and abundant, life will reorganize itself in ways your logical mind could never plan. Stories of unexpected wealth. Neville shared countless stories of people who received abundance from surprising directions. One woman imagined living in a beautiful new apartment, but didn't see any possible way to afford it. She simply kept feeling gratitude as if she already lived there. Weeks later, an acquaintance she hadn't spoken to in years contacted her and offered her a furnished apartment at a fraction of the usual rent. Another man desired financial freedom, but didn't know how it would happen. Instead of forcing it, he imagined himself free of worry and debt. Soon after, he was introduced to a business partner through a casual conversation at a cafe. That partnership became the source of his wealth. These examples show that life always finds a way when you hold the right state of consciousness. Luxury often comes in non-monetary forms. When you desire wealth, don't limit it only to money. Luxury can appear in forms you might overlook. Opportunities. Someone invites you on a trip or experience you didn't have to pay for. Connections. You meet someone who opens doors that lead to abundance. Discounts or gifts. You receive something valuable without spending much or at all. Time freedom. You suddenly have more free time, which is a form of wealth. Creative ideas. You get an idea that, when acted upon, becomes a source of income. Sometimes, luxury appears as synchronicities, like the exact resource you needed showing up at the right moment. It may not always be a direct deposit into your bank account, but it still fulfills the deeper desire for abundance and ease. Staying open to all channels. The key to receiving unexpected wealth is to remain open and flexible. Here's how you can do that. Drop the timeline pressure. Don't demand it to happen in a specific way or by a specific date. Trust that it's unfolding perfectly. Release attachment to one channel. Instead of saying, I need this raise, say, I'm open to wealth flowing to me from all directions. Celebrate small signs of abundance. Even a free coffee or an unexpected compliment is a sign you're in the flow. Gratitude for the small opens the door for the big. Follow gentle nudges. Sometimes you'll feel inspired to call someone, visit a place, or explore an idea. These small impulses often lead to the bridge of incidents. Why no opportunity is ever lost. Neville reassured his students. Nothing that is yours can ever be taken from you. What is divinely yours will always find its way. If you miss one opportunity, another will come, because your state of consciousness is what attracts it. Even if something seems to slip away, don't panic. Stay in the feeling of abundance. Life is infinite. It will rearrange itself to deliver in a new way. This truth is freeing because it removes the fear of missing out. You don't have to chase, force, or worry. What's truly aligned with you will appear, often in ways that surprise you. Seeing luxury in everyday life. Luxury isn't always about expensive cars or lavish houses. True luxury is a state of mind, a feeling of richness and plenty. When you cultivate this feeling now, you'll notice small luxuries already around you. A beautiful sunset, a cozy home, time to relax with loved ones, a good meal, or a moment of peace. Acknowledging these little luxuries expands your vibration and attracts bigger ones. Affirmations for unexpected wealth. Here are some affirmations to help you stay open to surprise abundance. I'm open to wealth from seen and unseen sources. Everything I desire is already on its way to me. I trust the bridge of incidents to lead me to my abundance. Luxury flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. Repeat these with calm certainty, not desperation. Trusting the bridge of incidents. Remember, the bridge of incidents is not always a straight line. It might involve unexpected meetings, detours, or even temporary setbacks. But each step is guiding you closer to the fulfillment of your desire. When something happens that you don't understand, instead of worrying, remind yourself, this is part of the bridge. I trust it. Later, you'll look back and see how perfectly it all connected. Luxury beyond logic. The beauty of unexpected luxury is that it often bypasses your logical limits. You may think, I can't afford that vacation, and then someone invites you as their guest. You may think, I need years to save for that, and then a new income stream appears overnight. When you stop trying to control the how, you allow life to surprise you with outcomes better than you imagined. Your work is the inner state. Neville made it clear. Your only work is to create the state of already having what you desire. The rest will take care of itself. So instead of worrying about where the money or luxury will come from, focus on embodying the feeling of a person who already has it. Walk like them, think like them, feel like them. When you live in that state, life has no choice but to reflect it. Luxury is inevitable when you trust the flow. When you trust the flow of life, you realize wealth is never really out there to chase. It's always been within you, waiting for the right channels to express itself. So let go of the need to plan every detail. Be open to the unexpected. Believe that no opportunity is ever lost, and what is truly yours will always find you. Because abundance doesn't just come through the door you're watching. It often arrives through the window you didn't notice was open. From lack to luxury, your final shift. Take a deep breath and let this truth sink in. Abundance was never something you had to chase. It was never something out there waiting for the right job, the right timing, or the right miracle. It has always been within you. From the very first moment you dare to imagine a life of wealth, freedom, and ease, it already existed in the unseen. Every segment we've explored has been leading you back to this one core realization. Dizzy, you are the source. The outer world has simply been mirroring your inner assumptions. When you thought in scarcity, you lived in lack. When you shifted to the feeling of wealth, opportunities appeared. When you loved, gave, and trusted the flow, life multiplied it back to you in unexpected ways. Neville Goddard said it beautifully. You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. Now, you know the truth. You know how to live beyond temporary appearances of lack. You know how to hold the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You know that wealth doesn't come through force, but through consciousness. You know that no opportunity is ever lost, and that luxury often arrives through doors you didn't even notice were open. This is more than teaching. This is a permanent shift in identity. From this moment forward, you're not someone trying to become wealthy. You're not someone waiting for life to give you permission to feel rich. You are wealth. You are luxury. You are abundance. And as you continue to align your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions with this truth, life will reflect it in ways more beautiful than you can imagine. So walk in this knowing. Speak as the person who already has it. Feel the freedom, the ease, the joy as if it's done, because it is. I want you to remember this one simple affirmation every day. I live in permanent luxury consciousness. Everything I desire is already mine. Say it until it's no longer just words. Say it until it becomes the very atmosphere of your life. And if this journey from lack to luxury has resonated with you, I'd love for you to help this message reach more people who need it. Together, let's raise the consciousness of abundance for you, for those you love, and for the world around you. Because luxury is not for a chosen few. Luxury is your birthright.